Welcome back, IB Nation, to another episode of the Irish Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. This is really the second to last time that we're going to be coming to you in a ranking show. Tonight was the second to final rankings that the College Football Playoff Committee was going to release, and there was a bunch of different movement all throughout. A lot of great talking points. Yeah. I don't know how Brian is. I'm assuming he's the same way. I feel very strongly about some of the movement from tonight. I am not happy about some of the movement tonight. The committee, I think, has put themselves in a really, really interesting spot with some of the precedents that they're setting forth with the second to final rankings that come out. Now, as we know, this is before championship weekend, so the rankings are still not set. This is not what the playoffs are going to be. We're going to have a conversation about, if they ended today, what are some of the matchups. But Brian, to dive into it, first and foremost, I know you were just on the CFP Nation channel talking with Bill Bender and Bill Trocchi about your initial gut reactions. Now that you've had some time to let it marinate, Notre Dame checks in at number 10. They dropped a spot, and they were left by Alabama after they beat Auburn on the road 27-20. Notre Dame beat Stanford on the road 49-20. But this was the week that the committee decided to jump the Crimson Tide over the Fighting Irish. Talk us through where Notre Dame is at right now.
Well, obviously, this is not ideal at all. I mean, this isn't good. I think some people are having a bit of a meltdown right now, and I don't think that's necessary, but it's not ideal. I'm not going to sit here and try to spin this either and be like, no, they're totally fine. I think this is a completely irrational decision, and I think that Bill Bender and I were talking about this. Bama's still being treated like Bama of Nick Saban, and they're not. They had no business being ranked as high as they were last year. They had no business being on the cusp of a playoff berth last year. They got smoked at home on the road by 6-6 team. They lost to a 6-6 Vanderbilt team in a game they never led, and they were still 11th, I think, in the final rankings. It's absolute crap. This is not Nick Saban's Alabama team. This is an Alabama team that has been very mediocre for the last couple months. This is an Alabama team that lost to a 5-7. Like, they struggle with 5-7 teams. They lost to one from the ACC in week 1. They barely beat one the fact they needed that gutsy fourth quarter call is exactly why they shouldn't be moving up in the rankings. They shouldn't have needed that play to beat Auburn in a rivalry game. I think the whole thing just reeks of it. But honestly, Trevor, we talked about this in our show today. We talked about this as a possibility that they're going to move Alabama up to protect Alabama. That's what we said that they might do. And that way, if Alabama loses, they can drop Alabama to 10, move Notre Dame back up to 9, and everybody's happy, apparently. But I don't know what they're watching, because this Alabama team has not been good. It goes back to what we talked about earlier today. There's still this assumption that the SEC is this dominant league, and I just don't think it is. I don't. This is going to be a third straight year. You're not going to have an SEC team win the championship.
Or potentially play for one.
Exactly. And to move Alabama up after a game where they got outgained 411-280. He said they ran the ball better. They ran for 158 yards. Like, if that's better, like, we're pissed about Notre Dame running for 187 yards against Stanford. Like, hey, Alabama's, yes, Auburn's got a good rush defense. They rank 12th. Stanford ranks 30th. They were higher than that before Notre Dame ran on them. Like, this notion they ran the ball well. They ran for 4.2 yards per carry against Auburn. Like, they went 4 for 17 on third down. They averaged 3.5 yards per pass attempt. Like, seriously, this is an absolute joke. Absolute joke. And committed 8 penalties. The only reason they won that game is because Auburn had 2 horrible turnovers. So I think that part just pissed me off. I don't understand it. I mean, I understand it. I don't like it. I mean, but we all know what this is. And, credit that Reese Davis asked some other dumb questions, but credit him asking this question. Did you bump Alabama up to protect them so they don't get bumped out if they lose the SEC title game? That's exactly what he did. It's exactly what they did. There's no question that's what they did. And we all get it. The fact that Ole Miss jumped up a spot after losing their frigging coach is a joke. A&M goes 11-0 and then loses their last game on the road to your number 13 ranked team, and you drop them below Ole Miss, who doesn't even have their coach? Explain that one to me.
You can't.
So I have defended the committee. There was a lot wrong in the rankings this week, and those are just two of them. I mean, that was bad. And then Texas being over Vanderbilt. Well, they got the head-to-head. And they also have 3 losses, including a 25-point loss like 2 weeks ago to Georgia and a loss to a 4-8 Florida team. What is Texas doing at number 13? Like, the whole thing is just dumb. And there's a lot in here that I didn't like. Iowa's in the top 25 again at 8-4.
Georgia Tech lost and went up a spot.
Exactly. But that's why, because they had a tough game against an SEC team. Like, the committee's SEC bias has been here the entire time in this ranking. We've talked about this. 5 of the top 10 teams are not from the SEC. They are in the rankings, but they're not in real life. But the reality is, this is evident that Georgia Tech can move up after losing. They never even led in the game, did they? Didn't Georgia score first? I think Georgia scored.
I think they kicked a field goal. I think Georgia kicked a field goal, and then Georgia Tech scored a touchdown,
okay.
And then I think that was it. I think.
Like, come on. Like, really? That's what we're doing here? You're going to move Georgia Tech up? I mean, it is an absolute joke. There's a lot wrong in these rankings. A lot wrong.
Earlier today on the show, we were having some fun, and we were hammering the ACC, rightfully so, for how they're handling a lot of this Notre Dame stuff. Joking aside, if I am the ACC and I see Ole Miss go up a spot after losing their head coach, I am beyond livid.
I have no sympathy for them for the exact reasons that I talked about today. I'm not going to go on another rant again, but this is on you. You spent the last month focusing on one team and one team only, Notre Dame, who, by the way, is in your league in every other sport, who you have a contract with to schedule at least 4 games a year, a team that you're supposedly a partner with. You went after them instead of going after the SEC teams. And even after Saturday's games, you could have been like, look what we did. Look what Louisville did to Kentucky. Look what Clemson did to South Carolina. Look what Florida State did to Alabama. Georgia Tech took Georgia down to the wire. But nope, we don't get any of that. We don't get, hey, if you dropped Florida State for not having their quarterback when they showed they could win the ACC without him, then you need to drop Ole Miss as well after they don't have their coach. But they did none of that. It was all about Notre Dame. They're playing Notre Dame, Miami on loop this week. So, you know what? I got no sympathy for your garbage league because you had a chance to fight an actual battle you might be able to win. And instead, you went after a team in your freaking league. Like, I'm trying very hard not to cuss tonight. But it was it was so telegraphed what the committee did. It was so stupid what the ACC has done. It's infuriating at this point in time. Infuriating, because you had a chance to say, hey, look, there's a war you could have fought, and you decided you wanted to fight against your own team. So if I'm Pete Bavacqua, especially if Notre Dame doesn't make the playoff, I'm telling the ACC that they can stick it where the sun don't shine, and then I'm getting with all my big donors and saying, hey, hey, lawyers, let's see if we can get out of this. And if we can't, then we'll pay whatever it costs to get out, and you can go F yourselves. That's what I would say to the ACC. This is absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? They should be mad. But I don't have any sympathy for them because of what the bullcrap thing that they've done the last month. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to paint this picture that, I'm there. I mean, I'm not trying to paint this picture that I feel bad for them. I'm just saying, the committee standards.
I get you.
That's ridiculous. At the end of the day, the committee just needs to call it what it is. Just make it an SEC playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then include Ohio State. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, just call it what it is. A team loses its head coach and goes up in the rankings.
Right.
I've never
to a team
seen
who
that.
lost on the road in the last game of the year to the number 13 team in the country.
And there's not even in my opinion, Lane Kiffin was the thing keeping them at 7th.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for all of the stout wins that they had.
Right.
Like they beat Oklahoma, a team where if you score 20 on them, you're probably going to win. Like that's their win. They lost
Unless
to
you're
Georgia.
Alabama.
Yeah, true. That is very true. Like in my opinion, Lane Kiffin was the only thing that keeping them at 7. They lose Lane Kiffin, and then there's no metric. There's no, like, well, if you look at the strength of schedule and you look at who they beat and their quality wins, it's like 5 of their 7 conference wins were under 500. And they move up. Just call it what it is. Just say you want 5 SEC teams in there to give them the best shot at winning a national title because they're 0 for 2 in the last 2 years, even playing for one. I mean, that's crazy. Never seen that. I'm upset about Notre Dame dropping to 10th. I am beside myself watching Ole Miss go up a spot after losing a head coach.
Yep.
Beside myself.
Yep. I mean, I just texted a buddy of mine. I said they acted like Bama sucking but still winning versus Auburn is a badge of honor. Like, that's exactly what they did. And you know what? Some of this too is Notre Dame needs to go beyond this. We're better than that mantra of the PR campaign, because they've sat back and I feel like I'm like a lone voice in the wilderness fighting the fight that Notre Dame's not even willing to fight. You know what I mean? Like, with all due respect to Coach Freeman, he was like, hey, we're one of the best teams. Like, no, dude, these teams are all taking shots at you. You're Jon Snow in that meme where it's you versus everybody. And you just can't be like, well, and we think we're one of the best teams and we've won 10. No, y'all got to start fighting as hard as I am with this stuff, because everybody else is at you. You are the target of the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10. Everybody's coming at you. So you got to do more. And if you don't want Marcus Freeman to do it, then Pete Bavacqua's got to be out there doing it. Where's he been? Why haven't we seen him on any of these shows? He can get on any show he wants to. So you know what? Like, part of me is like, Notre Dame, this is all on you too, because you have a PR team. You have a communications team. Why am I the only one that's like fighting this fight for the last month? Why am I the only one showing all the data and the metrics and fighting? I mean, I'm not on the own. There's other Notre Dame people covering the team. But like, why are we doing it? The people who you don't let come to practice very often, the people that you give, limited access to, you only let ask one question and a follow-up at every press conference, the ones that you used to allow everyone to get their own individual meeting with the head coach. Now we have to meet in groups, like those people that you guys treat that way. We're the only ones fighting this fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where are you? Where are you guys in all this? Because you're on the verge of getting left out, and they shouldn't get left out. They shouldn't, because they're one of the best teams in the country. But everyone else is waging a PR war while you're just sitting back saying, well, we just think we're one of the best teams in the country. And, and all. I mean, look, if that's not Marcus Freeman's thing, then somebody else needs to fight that fight. Where's Pete Bavacqua? Where's the Notre Dame PR team sending out all this stuff talking about, hey, here's why we should be a playoff team. All these other people are doing it. The ACC's doing it to you nonstop. So, okay, you're behind the scenes mad about it. All right, cool. Well, so that doesn't do anything. So that's frustrating. Very frustrating.
Yeah, extremely. Notre Dame is being painted as a villain in college football, and sometimes the best thing to do is just kind of accept it. Alabama did when Nick Saban was at his peak.
Yes, and give the big middle finger and go tell everybody why you should be there.
Yeah.
Not like, well, we just want to be liked and we don't want anybody mad at us, but we'll say things behind the scenes that we're upset about it. We're not happy about this. No, man. Forget all that. No.
Like, if somebody's going to paint you in that light, it's time to own it. Yes, absolutely. If somebody's going to paint you in that light, it's time to own it.
Yeah.
Have to at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not other teams are like, I got to calm down because I'm about to start saying some stuff. It's not just other teams, and it's not just other coaches at lower tier Power 1 or Power 4 programs anymore. You have like government officials taking shots at Notre Dame. Like, you have whole conferences. Like, the ACC is putting out graphics about this. Like, you can't just play this, we're just going to keep fighting the good fight, and aw shucks, we're so good, and I hope we get in, and if we do, like, just lean into it. Alabama did. It worked out great for them.
Yeah. You got ADs at other schools doing this stuff. Conference commissioners doing that. Where's Pete Bavacqua? Like that's my thing. Why did Marcus Freeman wait till after the Stanford game to do that? Do you guys want this or not? Well, if it's God's will, okay, sure, I guess that's kind of true, but no, fight the fight. So I'm very frustrated by Notre Dame sitting back, and I'm just real frustrated. But I'm also frustrated with the committee because the fact that Alabama, a team that lost by 2 touchdowns to a bottom-feeding ACC team, just jumped up to 9 so they can be protected, really bothers me.
Yeah, and the rationale behind it is just a load, man. I mean, Hunter Yurachek was asked about it, and he was like, shout out to your point to Reese Davis for asking like the one good question he's asked in a decade, and was like, hey,
exactly.
Was this to protect Alabama in case they lose in the SEC? He's like, oh, those were conversations that weren't had. It's like, all right, guy. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure. Dumb. Like, just say that it was because
let's be honest.
Big donors and ESPN money knows that they're just going to make more money with Alabama in the playoffs. And guess who wasn't in the first 12-team playoffs? Alabama. And there's not a way in heck that they were going to allow that to happen for a second time.
Yep.
Just call it for what it is. And I understand why they can. I'm not. This isn't my petition to say, hey, just say we love Alabama and we want them to be, and I get it. But come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so frustrating. But yep, that really the rest of the top 10 were like it was what we thought it was going to be, Brian. You and I talked about, we knew that there was going to be no movement between the top 2 teams. Georgia was going to slide up along with Texas Tech and Oregon. I didn't think Texas Tech or Texas A&M would fall behind Ole Miss. Oklahoma remaining at 8th was not that surprising. So really the two big things
that would happen. Yeah, we said it shouldn't, but that would happen. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. What are some of the other things in this ranking that kind of caught your eye? I know you mentioned Texas a little bit, moving up to 13th with 3 losses. That was also a move.
Yeah, that was just that didn't. Are you ready to join? Okay, I didn't know if you couldn't add yourself.
I could. I just didn't want to jump in on when you guys were talking.
You're good, buddy. We're on fire. We'd have kept rolling, but that's Vince being nice and polite. We'll let you share some of your points there first, Vince. Nice sweater.
Well, thank you very much. Just I was told it was my Bill Cosby sweater, which used to be a compliment. I'm not sure if it is anymore. So anyway,
say Cliff Huxtable sweater.
Yeah,
that's
there you go.
Your Cliff Huxtable sweater.
That's right. Okay, so I'm playing a little bit of catch up because I was walking around with my daughter at an open house for high school next year, and so I'm taking a look at what happened, for lack of a better term, right now that is PG. Wow, is my statement. Like, I knew the committee would do certain things to make sure that other certain things occurred. Moving Alabama into a spot where if they lose to Georgia, they only go to 10, basically, and so they're still in the playoff. Like, okay, so now you're trying to protect yourself, and you're going to jump Alabama over Notre Dame for really no apparent reason because they struggled with an Auburn coach who didn't even have a coach, or an Auburn team that didn't even have a coach, and they barely won that game. But they get to leap over Notre Dame, who dominated the opponent that they played this week. Makes zero sense to me. It also makes zero sense, although I understand why it happened, why Oklahoma is still ahead of Notre Dame as well. I thought there was more of a chance that Notre Dame leaps Oklahoma and goes up than them falling a spot, and here they are. So that's ridiculous. It's not ideal. I still feel good about Notre Dame getting in because in order for them not to get in, BYU has to beat Texas Tech, which I don't see happening. And the people's worry about, well, what if Alabama beats Georgia? That doesn't matter anymore because they already put Alabama above Notre Dame. That doesn't matter.
And that's what we said today, Vince, is why Trev and I talked about this in our show today, why we could see them moving Alabama ahead of Notre Dame, and ultimately why I don't think it matters. I'd be shocked if they leave Alabama ahead of Notre Dame if they lose to Georgia. I would be shocked by that.
And I think
more shocked than
they'll be
what
like,
we saw today.
They'll just flip.
Right.
That's all. That's
what
all
I
that's going to
thought.
happen.
We said this today. We said it today that what I think the scenario is you move Bama to 9 because if they beat Georgia, they're going to move up ahead of Notre Dame anyway.
Correct.
And this way, because what they don't want to do is they don't want to be in a situation where there's no penalty for losing the conference championship.
Right. They're covering their own tush for next week. Absolutely.
Right. And they're also protecting Alabama. So, in protecting the SEC in this particular year, because you don't want your runner-up to not be in the playoff. But I'm like, that's fine. If your runner-up's not good enough to be there, then here's a crazy thought. I get so sick of this. Well, don't schedule tough. Bama lost to a 5-7 team. Texas is not out of the playoff because they lost to Ohio State. They're out of the playoff because they lost to a 4-8 Florida team and lost to Georgia by 25. I'm so sick of these whiny SEC people that just cry about how unfair it is. And in every instance, it's because you lost to a team that sucks that you're not where you are. Last year, they had the third loss, so they had no choice but to knock them out. But this year, they're basically running cover to protect these teams. But here's the thing about Texas being at 13. The fact that Texas is ranked lower this year with their losses and their wins than Alabama was last year, who had way worse losses and not as good of wins, is also a bit of a joke. It's like this pumping up certain teams when they don't merit it. Look, those teams are going to have plenty of opportunities to play for championships because they're good. Texas is down this year, but they're going to be really good next year because all the guys that were young for that team this year are going to be much more seasoned next year, right? Trev, I think you and I talked about starting the preseason, like maybe this isn't their year because they're young, but everybody's going to be coming back for them, or at least a lot of people are going to be coming back for them. Bama's going to get more chances, whether it's with Kalen DeBoer or somebody else. You don't need to protect them. We don't know that Miami's going to get a lot more chances. And this is what I was so pissed about today, Vince. I went on a pretty epic rant today. My frustration was these are the teams Miami should have been going at the whole time. It should have been Bama, Oklahoma. And then since Lane Kiffin announced, actually since the whole rumor started last week that Lane Kiffin might leave, the ACC should have been on a rampage saying if Lane Kiffin leaves, then you need to drop them because it's in your bylaws that if there's a situation where a coach not being there, it's going to impact future performance.
And they went up.
They went up.
They went
exactly.
up. How does that happen?
Because the last week, all the ACC has been doing is talking about Notre Dame. So you know what? Like screw the ACC. I'm done with the ACC. Done with that loser conference. Like, I want them to now go. I'm upset that I rooted for the ACC to win their suit against Florida State and Clemson. I'm now pissed at
where
myself.
did that get them? Where did all of that social media push and everything that everybody said about Miami, and where did that get them? It got them as the second team out. Congratulations. Enjoy the Gator Bowl. Like, I don't know. It didn't accomplish anything. All the gnawing and gnashing of teeth, nothing happened.
Yeah. The concern that some people have, and I understand it, is the Reese Davis was asked him basically, is Miami out because they're behind Notre Dame? And he said he gave a very vague answer, and he said, based on last year, because the comments were made about because the last year's committee chair was an idiot. A lot of these guys are idiots, but he basically said, like, we're not going to punish the team for losing their conference championship game. If you don't play, you don't move around. And he basically said, look, teams can move around. We'll reevaluate everybody after next week. And the thought that some people are taking that is, well, that could mean that they could jump Miami next week. And look, after today, anything is possible.
Anything's possible, for sure.
I'm still not there yet because they've had ample opportunities to jump them.
This would have been, last week would have been the week. This week would have really been the week to do it.
Because you had the 31-point win over Pitt, Notre Dame beating them by 22.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know why. If they want to do that, why would you wait until
the
week where nothing is happening between the two teams?
Correct.
You know,
the resumes are set. Nothing is going to change with Miami and Notre Dame. Nothing.
The only thing that'll change is Boise State plays this weekend in the Mountain West Conference Championship. So then you're going to punish Notre Dame because you're not going to punish a team for losing their conference championship, but you're going to punish Notre Dame because another team lost their conference championship. I'm not as concerned about that, honestly. Miami, so Notre Dame has a team that played, but Miami didn't play either the ACC teams that aren't playing for championship. They didn't play either the SEC teams playing for a championship. They didn't play either the Big 12 teams playing for a championship. They didn't play either of the Big 10 teams that play. I mean, what about Miami's resume is going to change? Because I could argue just as much that he's arguing that Notre Dame's then going to jump back in front of Alabama if Bama loses. I could make that case as well. We don't know either one is what he meant.
Right.
But after today, I mean, I'll say this. I was dead set on guys, Notre Dame's fine. As long as BYU and Alabama don't win next week, Notre Dame's fine. I still think they're in if BYU loses, but I'm not as confident as I was a week ago. Right now, I'll feel a lot better if Georgia and BYU both win. I'll feel a lot better then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
Absolutely.
Right now, I'm not going to sit there and spin you. The reason I've been confident the last 2 weeks is because I'm following the data. And the committee has, for the most part, followed the data. But now the data's all screwed up. And I can no longer good conscience tell people, hey, they're going to be fine because the committee's sticking to the data, because they didn't stick to the data. Because Alabama's resume got worse this week. Notre Dame's got better this week.
Right.
And they moved Notre Dame behind them. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm just the things that surprised me the most is obviously the conversation between Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Like that still blows my mind of how but not overly surprised. And we've been saying all week, well, a whole week, the last 2 days, seems like a week, that what are they going to do with Ole Miss? That's going to tell us a lot about what they do with Ole Miss, because they are setting a precedent for the future. And because unless they get this calendar fixed, whatever that means, right? I'm not saying I have an answer to it, but whatever it means, getting the calendar fixed, this is going to happen again, where you're going to have teams that don't have a head coach that are in playoff contention. They had an opportunity to make some sort of a statement. The statement that they made was that we don't care who coaches the team. We're going to go off of the resume and it doesn't matter. That's the statement that they made. It doesn't matter that the head coach and the play caller is now someplace else. And Charlie Wise Jr., who's never called plays a day in his life, is going to be the offensive coordinator for this game.
Because Lane was still calling plays. Charlie was
100%.
the offensive coordinator, but Lane was still calling plays.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's been that way at every stop that Charlie's been with him. That's not a knock on Charlie. That's just a fact, because Lane Kiffin knows where his bread is buttered. His bread is buttered by having a really explosive offense. And you don't want to give that up to somebody else. I get that. He'll call the plays at LSU too. So I'm just saying, now you have the person who wasn't calling the plays is now going to be in charge of this offense. It's not going to look the same. And Ole Miss's defense is not good. They're not terrible, but they're not a college football playoff level defense. And that's the guy who's now the head coach. So this Ole Miss team is going to look different, guys. It's going to look different.
The first round is looking to suck. I mean, if you look at the matchups, I said so the first round, you're going to get if it ended today, you're going to get a rematch between Notre Dame and Texas A&M.
Yep.
You're going to get Oklahoma versus Alabama rematch. And you're going to have Oregon play James Madison or North Texas, depending on who wins the ACC. And then you're going to have Ole Miss playing Virginia or Tulane, depending on who wins those two leagues.
Some stinker games, man.
I'm sorry, I said North Texas. It would be Oregon playing Tulane, North Texas, or James Madison.
Right.
Depending on, so like if Virginia wins, it'll be Virginia will be
in the 11th
against
slot,
number 6, right?
Which is
if Virginia loses, then the winner of the Tulane North Texas game would then play would be 11, and then
James Madison could be
assuming
12.
they beat Troy,
for sure.
But
because right now they've got all three of those teams are now ranked. So the committee has also said, I don't know if you guys have talked about this or not, but the committee has also made it very clear that if Duke wins the ACC championship, they're out. Like they put these three group of 5 teams all ranked.
Yeah. unless James Madison loses.
Right. If they lose, correct. Yeah, agreed.
Right. Then
If
they
they
can
win,
maybe
though-
say 8-5 Duke with a win over number 16 Virginia. Blah 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 blah.
Hey, go Duke, because
Yeah.
at that point that means the ACC is going to get shut out.
Well, actually, I don't see that's actually. I'm going to go a different stance on that. I think if Virginia wins, they'll feel better about leaving Miami out. I think Bill Bender made this point, and I think he's right. If Duke wins, then that could be their callous to say, well, let's put Miami ahead of Notre Dame because we don't want the ACC to get shut out.
I
It's
could
all
see that.
games.
I could see
It's all
that
games.
for sure. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I
But
could
hey,
see
you know
that.
what, though? I do want to say this thing real quick. This is why you guys want to know why we got pissed off at the end of the Stanford game? You want to know why we got pissed off at the end of the Pitt game by letting them garbage touchdowns happen? This is why. This is exactly why. Because had you not caught off the dogs on both sides of the ball in those games, then your metrics look even better. And the fact of the matter is they're rewarding teams for running up the score on bad teams. They are. They absolutely are. So this is also why I don't owe Chris Ash a freaking anything when people say you owe Chris Ash an apology. Bull freaking crap, because the only reason we're in this situation is because your defense was a sieve the first 3 games of the season. Your defense was trash the first 3 weeks of the season. These are the lessons Marcus Freeman has to learn. And Marcus Freeman has done a lot of amazing things in Notre Dame. So my emotion's not going to give me, dude, Marcus Freeman. No, he's done a lot of great things in Notre Dame. But you got to figure out how to get your team to play better in September. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, especially with you look at some of your September schedules coming up in the next decade. Number 2, this is why I'm pissed about the defense, because it's the defense that let up late in games in November. It's the defense that stunk in the first 2 games of the season. And it's like, handle your business. Don't lose to Texas A&M at home. If you just won 1 and 2 those 2 games, we're having a very different conversation right now.
Oh gosh, yes.
Very different conversation.
Notre Dame's
And
hosting.
so-
Notre Dame's hosting if they win one
Yes.
of those games.
Or maybe they're getting a bye. I mean, it's kind of like, well, let's see what
That's
happens
what I
in the
meant.
Big
I'm sorry.
Ten.
That's what I
Right.
meant. I meant top 4.
Right.
I meant that they would be getting a bye at that point, and this would not even be a conversation at all.
Yep.
At all.
Yep.
But they put themselves in this situation. That is part of it. And I heard a bit of your rant about Notre Dame not talking about, not going on the offensive and all of these different things. And I really hope, and I hope I'm not being naive, but I really hope Pete Bavacqua behind the scenes is getting after the ACC right now.
Yeah.
Just
And
blowing them
waging
up.
the same battle behind the scenes with the people in the committee that the other leagues are.
Right,
You
exactly.
better be.
Like, if you don't want to do it in the public, cool. I don't care. As long as you are doing it in the background. Because, we've noticed what happens when the ACC goes on the offensive for Miami with all the media backing and everything. Nothing happens. So I don't care if they do it in public. That doesn't matter to me. But I really hope in the background that Pete is doing something along those lines, fighting for his team with the committee, and then also going at the ACC like, guys, what are you doing? Why are you going after us?
Yep.
That's just, it's such just an ill-fated decision by the ACC, and they harnessed that thing and they rode it into the ground.
And Notre Dame just sat back. And Vince, I said this too. It's like I felt at times like I'm just like out here fighting the fight that Notre Dame should be fighting.
Right. Seriously.
Because they're not doing it.
Scorched
You know what I
earth
mean?
from
Yeah.
Brian Driscoll's Twitter account. Scorched earth this past month. Haven't seen anything from Notre Dame, which is
When was
disappointing.
the last time you saw Pete Bavacqua on TV
Right.
talking about all this?
That it's frustrating. Again, I hope he's doing it behind the scenes, but if he is, it didn't help because they just dropped a spot. So, maybe the committee is telling him, "Hey, man, we're going to drop Notre Dame, this week, but don't worry, you're in. You're 10. You're the last one in. You're good, and we're gonna, you're gonna get in. That's where we're at. No matter what happens, you're in. Hopefully, that's the case." Because, we've been told that things aren't supposed to move around during championship week.
Yeah.
Teams aren't
One
supposed
of
to
the-
fall out.
Yeah. One of the more promising things too, and yes, I understand that it's just betting lines and we have an awesome partnership with FanDuel, which we do. But I know some people don't put a whole lot of weight into them, but Notre Dame is still at minus 500 odds to just make the playoffs. Those are really good odds for it to happen. Miami is still at plus 760 on FanDuel. I'm not saying I'm resting all of my chips on what FanDuel has to say, but that is something that is significantly working in Notre Dame's favor. Like I'm in between. Like I'm definitely not as comfortable as what I was earlier today. I mean, honestly, literally even an hour and a half ago. But to Brian's point, Hunter Yurichek's comments could be taken one of two ways, because it could be looked at in, if BYU loses, that bumps Miami up to 11th. And now there is that direct comparison, because a lot of what the committee was skating by on before is like, well, we're not comparing Notre Dame and Miami yet because they're not even next to each other.
But they have
in
the last
rankings.
2 weeks. They said last week that they're now comparing Notre Dame and
yeah, they
Miami
did it last week. They did it this week, and they're still behind them. So
no,
but
agreed.
Yeah,
sorry.
Agreed.
But
my
they're
point
not
is
right. They're not right next to each other, I think is what Trev's saying.
Yeah. And now that's what everybody's been pushing for, is this whole head-to-head debate. And they made very clear to bring it up today. Is it Texas ahead of Vandy? You know, you got the head-to-head, and Oklahoma still ahead of Bama, the head-to-head. And I see all signs pointing in that direction. Now, I still think Notre Dame makes the playoffs. They're just setting this up to be a real messy next 5 days until the final rankings come out, because like that's what's going to carry the bulk of the conversation if BYU loses in the conference championship, which I think that they will. They're going to directly make the committee will be put in a position now where they have to say, like, the head-to-head back on August 31st just isn't going to carry that much weight because of these metrics. Where that makes me uncomfortable is the fact that they switched around Alabama and Notre Dame regardless of the metrics. It was just, it was a rivalry game and Alabama looked great. And it's like, we have different definitions of great.
Great is a far off definition of what that game was. Man.
Getting out gang like 419 to 288 is a very interesting way of explaining great.
Yep. The best way to describe how I'm feeling is just uncomfortable. Like I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not to the point where it's like, oh, dude, Notre Dame's out. Like I'm not there yet, and I'm not going to be there until it pops up on my TV and the committee
Sunday
makes that official decision, if they even do. Which again, I'm not willing to bet that they are. But it makes me uncomfortable with it. But then in the same light, if Alabama loses to Georgia and BYU loses, that just makes Notre Dame
game
ninth,
over.
and then we'll see what happens with, does that completely drop Alabama out of the playoffs? Do they just put them at 10th and then Miami is still out? Excuse me. So it's a lot of different things like that. So I'm very, very interested to see how that goes. Very interested, but above all else, I'm just frustrated because as much as I like to rip on other teams, I couldn't agree wholeheartedly more with what you guys are saying about Notre Dame. I give teams crap all the time about not handling business, and Notre Dame also didn't. I have to file them under that category as well. That pains me to say, but you can't lose by one at home. You can't give up a touchdown pass on 4th and goal. You can't miss an extra point because you bobbled the snap. You can't give up 41 total points on defense.
Right. Because everybody seems to forget Notre Dame was winning by 6 points when that fumbled snap happened. Can't happen. That cannot happen. Right. But they were winning. They were winning by 6 points. All you needed was a defensive stand. That's all you needed. I think people forget that.
It can be tough to stop a team from 4th and goal from the 11-yard line, apparently.
When you get held.
If you're Notre Dame, sure.
Well,
there's a lot of things that were wrong with that play. It should have never come down to that.
It should not have
an 80-something yard touchdown because you had 3 guys whiff at midfield.
Right.
Because you thought, you didn't want to play Jalen Stroman, or you wanted to play Jalen Stroman over Tay Johnson. You wanted to play Carson Hobbs over Dallas Golden or anybody else on the roster. So, they put themselves in this situation. There's no doubt.
They did. I mean, they did, and they have to take accountability for that.
Against Miami, there's no question. I mean, that's all part of the thing. So, you put this on yourself.
Correct.
In a lot of ways. Your defense giving up 30. What do your metrics look like if your defense would have been playing all year like they should have been?
Exactly.
And I don't hear, they just got better at what they've been doing all year. Bull crap. Absolute
What are your-
bullcrap. I've shown it on film week after week after week. What they did in the first month of the season is not what they're doing now. Until they get into a second and long or third and long or in the fourth quarter of a game, and then they go right back to doing what they did the first 3 games of the year.
Yeah. What do your metrics look like if you don't come out and mess around for 60 minutes against Boston College?
Right.
Like, what do your metrics look like if Boston College doesn't enter the second half of that game on a 21-play, 11.5-minute drive?
Yep.
Like, still, it's just missed opportunities, all encompassing.
Absolutely.
Right.
This isn't a conspiracy theory against Notre Dame. I mean, they're
I don't know that that's necessarily true.
well, but they put themselves in this position to allow that to be the case.
I understand that, but
That's
my
what
whole
I'm
point
saying.
is everything you guys are saying is correct. But what is true today was true 2 weeks ago. Like that's my point. You know what I mean? So like if you were going to do this, why are you going to like if they really wanted to move Miami ahead of Notre Dame, then just drop Notre Dame behind BYU and Miami. Like I don't what would be if that's the goal, then that's why I'm not as convinced that like what would be the reason the committee would love Notre Dame for a month and then just drop them multiple spots after winning 49-20 and then not playing. Like that's why, like I think people are still saying like this. Well, if BYU loses, Notre Dame's in trouble because then Miami and Notre Dame are right. That's not really how it works.
It's
If
not how it
head-to-head
works
is
at all.
close enough at 11-10, then head-to-head should be close enough at 12-10. I just don't understand
That's
how that
100%.
you know what I mean?
And it's not. I don't think
So-
it's going to change. I don't think it's going to
Right.
change. And I think that
Yeah.
honestly, what I think is going to happen is exactly what I said was going to happen 2 weeks ago. I think Miami's going to end up in the 11 spot, and they're going to get bumped for either Virginia or a Group of 5 team that's in that 11 spot. Like that's what's about to happen, in my opinion. We'll see. Still got another set of games to play.
Yeah.
But I just don't see how there can be a bunch of movement between 2 teams that aren't playing. Like they're done. The resume, the hay's in the barn, as they say, right? Like this is done. Everything that they need to do or have done is over. It's done.
Right.
So
and they felt that Notre Dame was ahead of Miami.
by 2 slots.
So how does head-to-head all of a sudden matter next week
Exactly.
when they're 1 spot away, when it doesn't matter enough when they're 2 spots away? It makes
Because
no sense.
I don't know how they could justify that. They may do it. They may do it.
Logically, I agree 100%
Makes no
with where
sense.
you guys are coming from. But I also just watched this committee bump a team up a spot after losing their head coach. Like that, it's just. I'm not saying that you're wrong, and like I said, I still think Notre Dame makes.
I'm
it
not
in.
saying
It's
that's
just-
what's going to happen. I'm saying is if you're going to do that, just freaking do it.
Yeah,
That's my point. It makes no sense to do it that way. I'm not saying they won't do it that way. I'm saying it makes no sense to do it that way.
sure.
That's the point.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I'm
have no explanation whatsoever on why they did what they did with Ole Miss. I get why they did what they did with Alabama because they want to make sure Alabama stays in this thing.
Oh yeah.
And if they kept them at 10, if they kept Alabama at 10 and they lose to Georgia, then they're like, oh crap, what are we supposed to do now? Because we're supposed to ding them for losing.
Yep.
We can't keep them in the same spot. So they had to move them up to 9 in order for them, when they get beat, which I think is going to happen, that they get bumped down to 10. Like I think that they're just setting it up that way. And they're thinking to themselves, well, Notre Dame's going to end up at 9 because that's where we think that they should be anyway.
I think the bigger thing is what if Bama wins and then BYU loses and then Miami and Notre Dame are right there? Like, is there any
and that's
thought?
where they are.
Like,
They're right there.
Here's the thing for all the Miami apologists. Why aren't you guys, goes back to what I said today. Why aren't you advocating against Alabama? Because if Alabama loses, you guys have better metrics than them. You'd have 2 losses compared to their 3. Like what the best win they have just got negated because they just lost to that team on a neutral field.
Agreed.
Like this goes back to my rant from earlier, Vince. It's like, I'll pull it up again. This is why Miami is and the ACC are morons. Because I'm gonna pull this thing up again. Look at Bama and Miami. Look at that. Like they're much closer to Bama than they are Notre Dame.
Exactly. That's going to be
Miami
very
has the edge
interesting on
in
Sunday.
one offensive category. Miami has 3, and then Miami has the edge in every single defensive category. I mean, if I remember correctly, let me just go pull this up. This is the other graph that we're looking at today. Miami has a better game control than Alabama. Bama has a better strength of schedule, strength of record. but they're only one game fewer in quality wins. Like, that's the beef they should have been having.
Right.
And they completely peed away that opportunity because they were so focused on Notre Dame, a team in their league, a team they have a contract to play football games with, a team that is in their league for everything except hockey. Like, that's what's so dumb about the whole thing, you know? And so now I'm at the point now where I'm screw the ACC. Like, that's where I'm at.
Well,
Forget the
and once the rankings come out on Sunday and Notre Dame's in and Miami's out and Alabama's in and Miami's out, you're absolutely right. Their bone to pick should be with Alabama, not with Notre Dame.
Yes, because I think Miami is a better team than Alabama. I
Right.
do.
I agree. I completely agree. Both Notre Dame and Miami belong in the playoff. Alabama doesn't. They're not good enough to be in the playoff, and they're about to get beat by Georgia. That's going to happen.
What's going to be interesting is what if Georgia wins convincingly?
Right.
Is that enough to get Miami up?
Because if Georgia wins convincingly and Tech wins convincingly, okay, so now you're going to move BYU. They're no longer in the conversation. So now you've got Miami and Notre Dame right on top of each other. And if Alabama gets smoked, they should fall more than one spot. They should fall 2 spots. And if they fall 2 spots, that means Notre Dame and Miami are both in 9, 10, and none of this matters anymore.
And that's why Miami's AD, why the ACC, why all these people have been completely stupid by focusing on Notre Dame this entire time and not the team ranked behind Notre Dame that's had a bunch of ugly wins.
Yep.
And has metrics that are as good or worse than Miami's. Like, this is what I keep saying. That's what was so dumb.
Yep.
Because isn't it better for the ACC to have Miami and a team that's basically semi-affiliated with their league in the playoff? Isn't that better for Miami?
Right.
The ACC? But they're too stupid to understand that. Miami fans are too stupid to understand that you've got a better beef with Alabama than you do Notre Dame, especially now that Alabama has a chance to lose a third game.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the top leadership at the ACC is channeling all of their energy into doing things like playing the Notre Dame-Miami game 10 times between Thursday and Saturday mornings. You know about that, Vince?
I saw that. It's ridiculous. Like, they are just all the chips are in the middle of the table for the wrong play. They got pocket twos. You know what I mean? Like, and we're all in, baby. Like, it just makes no sense, man. It makes no sense to me. But they're not backing off. They're not like, oh yeah, you're right. Our bad. We probably shouldn't have been doing this. Like, oh wait, no. We're all in on this one. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah.
Apparently they think the committee's just going to be sitting back and watching the ACC network over the next few days too. Like, that's all they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. Like, well, shoot, man, we weren't going to rank Miami ahead of Notre Dame, but now that we've got the chance to watch that game for the 37th time, we're going to change our minds.
Just so dumb. I don't get it.
Just absolutely ridiculous.
It's just they should.
If they wanted to play something on the ACC network, they should play Florida State beating Alabama.
Correct.
10 times.
Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like, good.
That's exactly what I was going to say. How about we show one of our mediocre conference teams beating the what out of your SEC participant in the CFP. So it's just hilarious.
I think that this just from top to bottom though, like this was a bad week for the playoff committee, man. I mean, Georgia Tech loses to Georgia, they go up a spot after a loss.
They lose back-to-back games, and after the second loss, they go up. 2 weeks ago, they lost at home to a team that you don't even have ranked anymore.
Iowa's back ranked for whatever reason. Like, I don't know if it's just because they beat Nebraska at Nebraska, which, by the way, is not as good of a win as what people make it out to be. I'm sorry, it's not.
Iowa's the only 4-loss team to be in the rankings. The only one.
So not the 4-loss team that lost to Notre Dame, that lost to Miami here late down the stretch and beat number 23 Georgia Tech 2 weeks ago by double digits.
Right.
Not that 4-loss team.
Right.
Not 2-loss Navy, who you had in the rankings at one point. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're gonna go with 4-loss Iowa. So that benefits Indiana and Oregon's resume. Like, okay, whatever.
And they didn't just make it in at the back end either. They're at 23. They're ahead of North Texas and James Madison.
Right.
Like both
Right.
11-1 teams.
Yeah. Trevor, you nailed it. It's a bad week for the committee. A lot of stuff that they did. They set a really bad press. And the worst thing they did was not even bumping Notre Dame behind Alabama. The worst thing they did was moving Ole Miss up a spot. That's the worst thing they did.
Yeah.
Just hold them steady. Just hold them steady. Like, you know what I mean?
And for what that means for the future. Like that is the one thing that they did in this rankings that will have repercussions to go back on, because now it's one of those where it's like, there's an argument to be had. I think it's a bunch of bull. But there is an argument to be had that it's like, well, with Florida State, we had the sample size of what they looked like without the quarterback, and that was only 4 teams. I don't buy into that, but that's the argument that I'm assuming would be posed. But now to actively move them up, the committee is now setting a precedent that in a 12 to 14 to 16 team playoff, if you lose your coach, and now if you lose players, like significant players, I'm not saying that Notre Dame should have dropped because they lost Benjamin Morrison last year. Like if
you can't lose players and coaches if you're in the ACC. You can if you're in the SEC.
That's true. That's a good. I did forget about that asterisk.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page, Trevor. When you're in the SEC, it's totally fine.
When you're in the conference, that means more, which you would think that the head coach means more. I wouldn't think that means you move up a spot.
It just means more unless there's a narrative that works and fits the SEC.
Man.
Not even having a head coach allows you to move up. It's just nuts to me. Nuts.
So they've set a precedent that they can never drop a team ever from any league if they lose if all they lose is their head coach.
We should just fire Marcus Freeman right now if we want to make the playoff. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. Marcus needs to leave. Bye. Denbrock, you're the new head coach. And Notre Dame will be a lock to make the playoff at that point.
If Marcus Freeman retires or takes an NFL coaching job next week, Notre Dame will move back up in front of Alabama.
It's just...
Absolutely crazy. Well, gentlemen.
It is. Well, I did want to ask this question. Let's just say hypothetically, Bama loses to. Let's just say that for whatever reason it stays the way that it is now.
Okay,
Notre Dame's at 10, A&M's at 7.
Yep.
If it ends that way, and I don't know if it can, we are getting kind of a wish.
Yeah,
we have said all year I would love a rematch with Miami or Texas A&M.
And honestly, you also potentially, if you win that game, you also get a rematch with IU.
Yeah.
If it stays this way, which it won't.
Real quick,
I'm okay with
apparently, I think someone in the chat thought we were serious. Guys, we don't think that Notre Dame goes up if Marcus Freeman leaves. You get that was a joke, right?
Did somebody think we were being serious?
I just want to make sure that's understood. But anyway, let's talk about that, because that would make me. So it's basically if let's say Bama loses on a walk-off field goal and they decide they're not going to move Bama back. Because if they were impressed with their win over 5-17, then they're probably going to be even more impressed with them having a pretty win against Georgia. They might even leap them Oklahoma.
I mean, at this point, they might be impressed if they lose because they look good doing it.
No team has ever looked good losing by 17 as the way Bama lost by 17 at Georgia. It was beautiful. But let's just say hypothetically, however it happens, that Notre Dame gets matched up against A&M at number 7. A, how crazy is that environment going to be? And then B, how bad do you guys want that matchup?
A, that environment's going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like for all the win-loss talk and head-to-head stuff that's been going on with Miami, the Texas A&M game would be electric. Like I haven't had that much beef, if any beef at all, with the Texas A&M fan base, and I think that would be a great first-round matchup, and I think it would be the best first-round matchup amongst the games.
It's not even close.
Which not saying a whole lot.
Yeah,
but like, the way the rankings are right now, you get 2 rematches and then 2 matchups. What do we say? It'd be Oregon and Virginia, and then Ole Miss and
it could potentially be. Yeah, it could potentially be 2 group of 5 teams in the first round matchups, and then an Alabama-Oklahoma game where the over-under would be set at 7 because Oklahoma, as we found out and confirmed earlier today, Vince, you weren't a part of the show, Oklahoma purposely tries not to score points because that's not what they like to do. And then you would have Notre Dame versus Texas A&M, and that would be an electric matchup. B, I would love that matchup very much. And C, I would feel very bad for Texas A&M because not only are you getting a Notre Dame team that remembers that loss and how they lost in that game, not only are you getting a Notre Dame team that made a playoff run and understands what that implies, but 3, you are getting a Notre Dame team that the committee decided to disrespect and is basically going to sit back for a month and just hear all of this stuff as to like why they're not good enough and they shouldn't be in and there's all this other team. I would love that matchup. Personally.
Yeah, me too.
I'm all for it. And look, Texas A&M is not an easy place to play football. There's no two ways about it. But Notre Dame has proven that they can do it because they've done it, in the last year and a half. So I mean, they can do it, and the majority of the team that is there did it. And so, let's go. I mean, and I do think Notre Dame is. I think Notre Dame's a better football team than A&M is right now. I just do. They were a couple of mistakes away from winning that game at home. So let's
Notre Dame
go on the
played
road
like
to play them
absolute
again.
poo.
Yeah.
A&M played one of their best games season and still won by a point.
Notre Dame is
answer
not giving up
question
41 points. They're just not.
Yeah.
They're not going to give up 41 points to A&M. Not going to happen.
No. I want to respond to this. Brandon asks, can someone explain to me how Duke could get left out even if they win the conference championship game? I thought that was impossible. There's this there's this notion that people think that the winner of the 4 power leagues automatically gets in. That's not the rule. It's assumed that will always be the result, but that's not the rule. The rule is very simple. It's the 5 highest ranked conference champions.
That's it.
If the 5 highest ranked conference champions come from the American, the MAC, the Sun Belt, Conference USA, and Mountain West, then they get the automatic buys. It's not going to happen, but that's the rule. So if James Madison wins this weekend, they're going to be ranked higher than Duke, even if Duke wins. Unless they somehow convince themselves that an 8-5 Duke team should be ahead of a 12-1 James Madison team, whose only losses to an 8-4 Louisville team, by the way, back in September. So it's just 5 highest ranked conference champions. James Madison is not in the same league as North Texas and Tulane. I think some people may be thinking that. They're in the Sun Belt. Right. So they're going to play, who is it? Troy this weekend, coached by Jared Parker. So Jared Parker in year 2 is taking Troy to the Sun Belt Conference Championship. So congrats, Coach Parker. But the winner of the North Texas Tulane game is in. Now it comes down to if Duke beats Virginia. If Virginia wins, they're in. The winner of the Tulane Duke game or Tulane North Texas game is in. Right? Like but if Virginia gets upset, now it's James Madison that gets that. So it's just 5 highest ranked conference champions. It does not have to be the 4 power 4 teams. Just so we're clear on that.
Yep.
So, all right, let's get to we got some super chats here, boys. Let's get to those.
Let's do it. Super chat from SD California Burritos. Thank you for the super chat. Do you think the committee did this so that if Bama loses in the SEC championship, they can be punished and move to 10th, but not out of the college football playoff? In turn, an idle Notre Dame would rise to 9th?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that in the show earlier today. Trev and I did, and we talked about it earlier in this show. I do think, I think that people are going too deep into the conspiracy. There's clearly a conspiracy. I don't think the conspiracy is to drop Notre Dame behind Miami. If they wanted to do that, they would have already done that.
Correct.
That's our takeaway. There'd be no reason to wait till next week to do that. They would have already done that. I think this is about protecting Bama. You don't want to have the SEC net runner-up get knocked out. That's what it boils down to. And you also don't want to have them. You don't want to set the precedent of you can lose your conference championship and nothing happens. I don't think you want to do that either. Right. So I think this insulates them, because then if Bama loses, now you don't have to compare. You're not comparing Notre Dame and Miami anymore, because Alabama falls to 10 and you still have that quote unquote buffer that everybody thinks is there. And at this point in time, it may be there with the way that things went today. I mean, all things are on the table. I'm not going to we now have data we can look at. We have evidence that they're going to do this, this, and this. We still don't have any evidence that they have a strong desire to put Miami ahead of Notre Dame. We don't have that evidence because of the fact that they have chosen not to do so. I think this is really mostly about protecting Bama. And
I completely agree.
Part of Bama, part of it's because it's the SEC runner-up. Because I think the committee is afraid that if the SEC gets screwed again, they're going to just go nuclear on the next, like, because them and the Big Ten now control everything. They're going to go nuclear on this and basically just get rid of the committee altogether and just go to automatic bids and then, all these other different things. So I think it's really about that. It's how to keep the SEC happy. I think that's what it comes down to at Ole Miss as well. I think the committee's afraid. Part of it's bias. Part of it might be fear that they don't want to piss off the SEC because they saw how crazy it got last year when they knocked all those SEC teams down. Shouldn't be that way, but I think there's some merit to that.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next time that they sit in a room and they figure all of this out, which could be soon because we could be looking at a 14-team playoff next year. I think there's going to be some serious discussion about the Group of 5 team, and if they really want to have that be,
I do too,
something they want, because you're looking dead in the face here of 2 Group of 5 representatives being in the college football playoff. And look, I love that for the little guy, all of the things, underdog, but let's be realistic. They're not going to get out of the first round. And it's a waste of a game. It's a waste of a
joke
game.
That you have 2 Power 5 teams that could, or 2 Group of 6 teams that could make the playoffs.
Yeah. Vince, I'm glad you brought that up. That was something a buddy and I were talking about earlier today, was just about, look, I appreciate what they're trying to do to be inclusive with the Group of 5. Truthfully, I am. The best a Group of 5 team, in my opinion, will probably ever do is what Boise State did last year, because Boise State was one of the best 12 teams in the country.
Yeah. Yes.
I think that's the peak, though.
Yep.
As having a Heisman front runner, going to the eventual number 1 team in the country and losing by a field goal, getting a first round bye, and then still losing by double digits in the first round. I think that's the best.
I could see. I actually someone who thinks that the G5 teams can win a game in the playoff, whether it's a quarterfinal game or a first round game, because there are occasionally going to be teams that are actually really good. And
then let them be ranked in the top 12.
I got a point to that. But my thing is that team is going to be like last year's Boise, to Trevor's point. They're going to have earned a higher ranking. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look, was Boise State capable of being that team last year? They would have needed the right matchup, but they were a very one-dimensional team.
Mm-hmm.
And, but look, there have been some of those UCF teams from, the Josh Heupel, Scott Frost era could have gotten into the playoffs and won some games. Boise State teams under Chris Peterson had multiple teams that could have got into a playoff today and won games. Now, the flip side of that is, but can those teams even exist anymore, because don't a lot of those guys get poached by Power 5 teams? That's fair. But the point is, I do think once or twice a decade, I do think it's capable that a G5 team will do it. There may be a year, Trev, like this year, where we're sitting there saying, like, man, Ole Miss is probably going to smack, so-and-so. Well, what if they get a rematch against Tulane and they don't have their head coach and they already think that they're hot stuff because they beat Tulane earlier in the year? Like, could I see them getting upset? Yeah. But it would be a circumstance where it's a really good G5 team that once or twice every 10 years against it's the right matchup. You know what I mean? Like, Penn State was a bad matchup for Boise State. Like, maybe another team wins. Maybe I think, like, let's say SMU upsets Penn State. Boise State had a much better shot at beating SMU. So there's always those type of things that could result in them winning a game. But to Trevor's point, it's that team will have already earned it anyway. Boise didn't need the automatic berth last year because they'd have been in the top 12 team anyway.
Right. That's why they got the bye.
Right.
That's why they got the bye. But they were the 4th.
I actually think the bye hurt Boise last year. Because that's my thing is, like, they're going to have a better shot at 9 or 8 of beating a team that's 8 or 9 or 7 or 10 than they will jumping 3 and 4, knocking those teams down. And now they've got to play 3 or 4 in their first playoff game. You see what I'm saying?
No, I
Like-
definitely do. But here's my counterpoint to that. I don't think the group of 5 teams are going to be as good as they used to be. We're talking about, the Chris Peterson, Boise State teams, the UCF teams you're talking about. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Here's my reason
that's
why.
what I said earlier.
NIL.
Go ahead.
Because
Well, that's what I just said.
Yeah,
I said
'cause
that earlier.
freshmen-
I said, I don't know if those teams are that way because I think they
Not
get
anymore.
poached.
Not anymore.
Right.
Like
That's
they
what I
are now
said
the
earlier.
minor leagues for the Power Four.
Right.
And those Boise teams, they were led by like seniors and fifth-year seniors that
Does
have
Kellen
been
Moore
there.
make it
Yeah.
4 years at Boise? That's what I was saying
Exactly.
earlier, Vince.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
those
yeah,
teams
yeah.
get poached a little bit. And some of those teams aren't G5 teams anymore. UCF is now a Power
Good
4
point.
team.
Yeah. good point.
Cincinnati is now a Power 4 team.
Right.
So some of those teams that could have been that, like Brian Kelly's team, technically in 09, was one of those teams. Because
Right.
the Big East wasn't one of the top 4 leagues.
Sure.
But my point is, we just saw an example last year of Boise. Let's just say they had a little bit better quarterback. Boise's a team last year in the right matchup, I think could have done something in the playoffs. I mean, Boise was number 10. They'd have played at Tennessee last year. They had a better shot of beating Tennessee than they did Penn State last year. That's my point.
Sure.
And, let's say they would have gotten, let's say one thing changes differently. Let's say, let's say they leave SMU ahead of 11-1 SMU ahead of, actually, no, that's actually not the right ranking. I looked at week 15. I need to go to week 16. Boise was 9. They would have played at Indiana. That's a game I think they could have won.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, they still might have lost, but they'd have had a better shot beating them than they would have had beating Penn State. That's my point. And so I think the bye did not help the group of 5 team. But Boise didn't need that boost last year. They'd have been better off with straight seeding last season is kind of where I'm coming from. But the point is those teams, and this is where we'll go all the way back to what Trevor said. That team earned their way in anyway. They didn't need that boost of automatic bid type of thing. I kind of pushed back on that. Bill Bender made that comment too in the CFP Nation show we did. And my pushback was exactly what we're saying now. Overrated SEC teams. There still needs to be some level of protection for the ACC and the Big 12 in years where they're kind of getting screwed over by the ACC or by the SEC. It doesn't hurt the Big 12 as much this year, but maybe it hurts, a Miami, or maybe it hurts a UVA or something like that, to where if your conference champion is at least in the top 16 or whatever you want to do, 18, whatever, they still get in. But if you're outside of that number, you don't get in. Like the group of 5 teams this year do not belong in the playoffs.
Right.
They don't.
And they might get 2.
Right.
It's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy.
They don't belong. They went over against the Power 4 teams they played. Well, actually, no, that's not true because Tulane actually had 2 wins against Power 4 teams, but they were mediocre Power 4 teams. They beat Duke by a touchdown and they beat Northwestern, and then they played at Ole Miss and got annihilated. James Madison lost, I think, by 2 touchdowns to Louisville. You know what I mean? But there needs to be something that says a group of 5 team has to at least be ranked in the top 16 to get in. Because you know what? Boise would have got in last year, Trev. A lot of those UCF teams would have got in.
Yeah.
There's been a Memphis team or 2 that would have got in, but these teams don't belong.
Because unfortunately, this is just a rough year for the committee and they're not getting my sympathy, but it's just a rough year for the committee. If their ultimate goal is our goal is to put the best 12 teams in the playoffs. It's like, okay, so you're going to tell me 3 of those teams are without a head coach and 2 might be a group of 5. Those aren't the 12 best teams in college football. If it was truly about the 12 best teams in college football, Miami would be in the playoffs. Notre Dame head-to-head aside, Miami would be in not one of James Madison, Tulane, or North Texas. I mean, even if Virginia wins the ACC, they're not one of the 12 best teams in college football. That's what's tough about this. And then, again, I still reverberate back to Ole Miss going up a spot, but I digress. But it's just this year is a rough year for the G5. that for the G5 automatic bid. And like you said, Vince, they might get 2.
That's
So
nuts.
interesting spot.
It's crazy.
I want to add something. So I'm looking at the transcript of the.
I was reading it too.
So one thing Jurasek talked more about the idle thing, and he added something in at the end. He said idle teams can move based on results of the championship games. There may be something that happens in a championship game that impacts an idle team, whether that's their strength of schedule or some other data point that we use, or there could be a team that suffers a significant loss in a title game. So that shows like, okay, you get beat bad, that can move, because we don't try to predict what's going to happen, but yes, idle teams can move within the rankings as we re-ranked them one last time this week. And I think that comment makes me feel less like this is about Notre Dame and Miami, and it's more of just a
buffer,
for everything
Alabama.
is not just locked in. Things could happen. Now, there's not a lot that's going to change team strength of schedules this week. Miami's won't change. Notre Dame's is not going to change much. I mean, so as BYU goes 8-5 instead of 8-4. I don't think that moves the needle. If anything, Notre Dame could benefit from the fact that if Boise State goes out there and beats UNLV this weekend, that would help Notre Dame, because now it's a 9-4 conference champion team that they beat. But there's not a lot of teams that are sitting around waiting on things to happen from teams who have played. You know what I mean? Like who benefits from Georgia winning the SEC? Texas doesn't. They got beat by 25. It's not like they win. You know what I mean? Who benefits from Bama winning? Who benefits from Indiana or Ohio State winning? Like if Ohio State beats Indiana, I don't think Oregon jumps over Indiana. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that would happen. So I there's a lot of different things that could happen that would affect the rankings, but I don't know that a lot of them are going to change the teams that aren't playing.
He was very clear also to say that the loser of a conference championship game is not necessarily guaranteed to get in. Like he pretty much flat out said that. Now, he's referring to BYU, I think, in that statement.
Thank you. Exactly. Yes, you are correct, Vince. That is the right answer, sir.
Right. Yeah. Because the other ones, I mean, come on, the other ones aren't going to affect anything.
You're telling me if Ohio State loses to IU, they're not getting bounced from the playoffs? Come on.
And he's saying idle teams can move, but they'll just move around where the conference championship teams move to. They're not going to move up and down of each other. They're just going to move in relation to where the other teams move from. I mean, it really is quite simple. And he basically said that without specifically black and white saying it. I mean, I think we all know what's about to happen. At least that's how I feel. And again, could be very wrong. They could pull a fast one by us on Sunday, but I feel pretty confident that I know exactly what's happening because they set it up that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting weekend. Are all the championship games on Saturday? Or are some of them on Friday?
One of them, I think one is on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, one of the G5 ones is definitely on Friday, if not two. Give me a second. There's 4 on Friday night. The Sun Belt, the Conference USA, the American, and the Mountain West are all on Friday night. And then Saturday is the Power 4 plus the MAC. Did you know that Lance Taylor and Chuck, 2 Notre Dame coaches, are going against each other?
Lance and Chuck.
I was going to say Chuck Taylor and Lance.
Those are shoes.
Lance Taylor.
That's
a wide receiver for the NFL. Yes. Lance Taylor and Chuck Martin are going to go against each other.
I think we should all get in the car and head up to Detroit City and watch that game. Come on, a little action.
You have fun going to Detroit. I'll stay chilling right here.
I'll be heading to Hobart, so it's all good.
Yeah, you'll be going to your own bowl game. But he was asked a question. Here's a question that he got asked. This is the transcript from the phone interview, not the one on TV. He goes, I have 2 questions as they kind of relate to Miami and Notre Dame. First, now that the seasons are complete and the records are the same, Miami has played consistently well. Why the committee decided to rank Notre Dame 2 spots ahead of Miami? And does the committee take head-to-head more into consideration if those teams are back-to-back in the rankings or if there's a team in between them like there is now. His answer was very interesting. He goes, the head-to-head is one data point that the committee will use. It's obviously easier to use that data point when the teams are back-to-back as opposed to when they're separated by a team or 2 or 3, as has been the case. Notre Dame is the winners of 10 straight. During that 10-game winning streak, they've outscored their opponents roughly 440 to 143. They've been very consistent offensively in how they run the ball, in how they pass the ball, very explosive plays. I think they're third in explosive plays. Then you've got BYU. We got a BYU team that's 11-1. Their schedule strength and record strength metrics are really, really high. They've got a win over 15th ranked Utah and a win over 18th ranked Arizona, and their metrics rank really, really high as well. Then you've got Miami, who, when we had our first poll, they came into our poll losers of 2 of 3 games, and they were inserted at 18. They've really climbed faster than any other team during the past 4 or 5 weeks. Up 6 spots. They won 4 consecutive games. Carson Beck has been phenomenal, completing 80% of his passes at roughly 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns during that time. But the committee still felt like right now Notre Dame deserves to be ranked ahead of BYU and Miami, and BYU deserves to be ranked ahead of Miami. So he's saying a lot of things, but he's saying, like, guys, right now they're still better than Miami.
Mm-hmm. And how can that possibly change during the next 5 days while neither one of those teams plays a game?
Right.
That's the thing for me. Like, I don't know how that could possibly, with that answer, how can anything possibly change going into Sunday? I don't. It is
disgusting how many questions get asked about Notre Dame Miami. The very next question, last one. I wanted to ask you about Miami Notre Dame again. When you look at the top 10, it appears the head is being honored with Oklahoma and Alabama, Georgia and Ole Miss. Even if you go outside the top 10, Texas over Vanderbilt. I'm curious, what's the difference between Miami and Notre Dame situation? Why isn't the head-to-head being honored? I'm so sick of that stupid, lazy, low IQ narrative. Essentially, what's the big difference between those teams in the commissioner's mind? He goes, yeah, the head-to-head, again, is just one of the tools that we use to evaluate the teams. If we were just comparing Miami and Notre Dame side by side, it's a little easier to use that comparison, but we're not comparing Notre Dame and Miami side by side. We're comparing really this whole. We've been comparing Alabama, Notre Dame, BYU, and Miami collectively and evaluating those teams and how they look. When you put all those teams together, the committee has felt for the past several weeks that Notre Dame, now again, the winners of 10 straight and really dominating on both sides of the ball in those 10 games, and then BYU, an 11-1 team with really strength of schedule and strong metrics, et cetera. So that's why we have the order of Miami 10 and BYU 11. He meant to say that other way around. Miami, again, entered the poll, losers of 3 games and 18th.
He's just repeating himself, basically.
Yeah. And then
because people really don't get it.
But it was, he said, and they looked really good this past weekend against Pittsburgh, but it was not and has not been enough for them to get ahead of BYU and or Notre Dame. Last question. When you look at the totality of the resumes of the whole season, does the committee feel that Notre Dame's resume is significantly better? Yes! They're separated by just a few spots in the rankings. I don't think you could say that the resumes really are any of those teams. I don't think you could say that the resumes really of any of these teams in the top 13 or 14 are significantly better than the other. We've got really good teams. It's been significant, and I meant significant debate. We went well over our normal time today and trying to make it sure that we got especially 9, 10, 11, and 12 right.
3 different times they asked about Notre Dame, Miami, but
nothing about why, Oklahoma. I mean, just all Notre Dame. It's so lazy. It's so lazy. I
don't know how many times he has to say it's not just about Notre Dame and Miami.
Like, are you thinking are they thinking he's going to eventually crack and be like, okay, listen, Notre Dame gets better TV ratings, and that's why you guys should stop asking the question, please. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, you asked the same. It's like that scene from 8 Mile. You're saying the same stuff that he said. You know what I mean? Like, stop. Oh my God!
And look, here's what's going to happen. When the median, and everybody's going to be like, when they're going to be like, when BYU loses, now Notre Dame and Miami are going to be right next to each other. No, they won't, because Notre Dame's going to bump over Alabama when they lose to Georgia.
If Alabama loses,
you know what I mean? And
now,
there's going
Alabama
to
wins and BYU loses. That could be, but he's basically saying, like, guys, Yeah, they did great, but it's not enough. They're not better than Notre Dame.
Right. And that's not going to change between now and
It'd be
Sunday.
super easy for the committee to put 11-1 BYU right ahead of Notre Dame. It would have been easy for them to do this the last month. Very easy. But they don't. Why? Because they don't think they're better than those two teams. Anyway, let's get back to some super chats because we're going to be on here all night just yelling.
Yeah, I know, right?
Stupid. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I am all for people's hustle. And if people want to cover this sport, but my thing is there's too many stupid people or lazy people or people not qualified to cover the sport to cover the sport. There just are. Whether they're on TV or working for websites or working for newspapers or whatever else, there's a lot of dumb people out there or people that are just so consumed with getting likes on Twitter that they will just say whatever they think is going to get them the most love and likes on Twitter. I don't know what it is, but there are some stupid people calling into some of these press conferences and going to these press conferences and asking these questions. I'm sorry. There just are. Like, oh my God. Like, maybe it's just me. I grew up reading like people like Loose Emoji and you know, like people that actually wanted to tell a story. And now it's just this stupidity has just got me on my last nerve. Here we go, Trev. Let's get to this next one.
From ND Fanatics, thank you for the super chat. Speculation: the committee moved us to 10 to give themselves the opportunity to put us on the other side of the bracket from Ohio State. Potentially, but I mean, again, if the situation plays out the way that we think that it will, and Alabama loses in the conference championship to Georgia, then Notre Dame just bumps right back to 9th.
Yeah.
So potentially, but
I don't think so. I don't think there's so much that because then if Ohio State loses to Indiana, they may only drop to 2. I mean, there's so many different things that would. You know, what if Ohio State loses and Georgia loses and Texas Tech loses? I mean, there's so many things that could go into play. I don't think that's had a whole. I mean, maybe like Trev said, maybe I don't. I think this was a lot simpler than maybe some of us are making it out to be. The committee's had ample opportunity to move BYU and Miami. If they wanted to put Notre Dame behind Miami, it would have been real easy.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, put 1 loss BYU and 2 loss Miami ahead Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
Or 2 weeks ago. Or a week ago.
And he just flat out said in that conference, in that press conference today, Notre Dame is better than both of those teams. One gets to play, and it's not Notre Dame.
And we went well over our normal time today in trying to make sure that we got especially 9, 10, and 11 right. So, yeah, here it said the committee has given a great deal of respect to Miami, bringing them from 18 to 12 this week after winning 4 consecutive games and looking really good in doing so. And they looked really good this past weekend against Pittsburgh. But it was not and has not been enough for them to get ahead of BYU and or Notre Dame.
Flat out said it. What else do you want? Those are the guys making the decisions.
Super chat from 17 Semperfi. Sorry if I butchered that. Thank you for the super chat. Where in the rules does it say you protect a team against a possible loss by jumping a team without having done anything to warrant it?
There are no rules. They're just kind of doing this stuff on their own. Because, and again, all this stuff is made private. I mean, and I kind of support that because you'd have so many people, like they couldn't have honest conversation. Like if all the transcripts in the video were out, you couldn't have honest conversation. You couldn't. Because people would not handle that well. People, like I just said, there's way too many people covering this sport. Yep. And you're going to have people like, look, this is my chance to make it because I'm going to take this one thing that so-and-so said and I'm going to run with it and try to, make my name off of it. Like that clown that, like I'm no Lane Kiffin apologist, but that guy that is trying to like make his whole career now, Lane Kiffin going after him after the game.
Oh, yeah. That's embarrassing.
Bro, you're not the winner here that you think you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
seriously.
Good, whatever, dude. But there is no rule. They're just kind of making it up on the fly.
Super chat from Tom Chris. Thank you, Tom. Do you take the comments by the chair that the idle teams can still move to mean that they still may jump Miami over Notre Dame, or just that if how teams win or lose in the championships games, they would move idle teams forward and back due to that?
So I'll be clear because we've talked about this, but I know people are jumping in and out at different times. So I want to make very clear where we all stand on this because we've all kind of said the same thing. Could it mean that they're going to jump Miami? Yes, it could mean that. Do we think that's what he means? I don't think that's what he means, especially after reading him say in 3 different questions in the post ESPN part of the interview that Miami's not as good as Notre Dame. And I think what they're saying is, listen, go ahead, Vince.
I was just going to say, I was annoyed at first that he was asked that question 3 different times, basically in 3 different ways. I actually appreciate it because he got to say 3 different times in 3 different ways that Notre Dame's better than Miami and BYU. Like, he's flat out said it 3 different times and got annoyed by the 3rd time. Like, that you can tell just by reading it. He was annoyed. Right. Yeah, exactly. So the proof's in the pudding, man. It's right there. He said it. And there's no game for Miami and Notre Dame to play this week. It's not going to change.
The only thing on either resume is Boise State playing against UNLV in a Mountain West Conference Championship game. There's nothing else that's happening this weekend. Like, the only teams that could be impacted that are in the playoff race by this weekend is, let's see here, like, that aren't playing for a spot. You could say that Ole Miss's resume could get boosted if Tulane beats North Texas, because Ole Miss beat Tulane. Okay. You could say that Notre Dame's resume gets slightly improved by Boise State winning. You could say that they get slightly decreased if they lose. I don't think that. I mean, they've already said we're not going to make bigger swatch, decisions out of losses. Is that enough to move the needle? I don't think so. Same with Tulane. And then, there's nobody on the cusp that, like, there's nothing that the Georgia beating Alabama doesn't all of a sudden make Texas's 25-point loss to Georgia look better to move them up. Like, there's nobody that Miami played that's playing this weekend, because, which is, again, why these big leagues are stupid. The fact that 2 teams are playing for the ACC championship and Miami didn't play either one of them is dumb. It's dumb. Because I think Miami probably would have beat both of those teams. Not a given, because they lost to Louisville and SMU, but they would have at least beat one of them. They would have killed Duke. Virginia maybe gets them if Miami has an off day, but they'd have smashed Duke. Absolutely would have smashed Duke. But that's your fault. You brought 17 teams in your league. That's on you. Yeah. So I want to respond to this Miami fan. He says, one thing to say Notre Dame is better than Miami. What he didn't do is back it up with metrics. You're not going to do that in a telephone press conference.
They did that when they talked about.
And it wouldn't matter to you Ali.
Right.
I've given you the metrics for weeks. I know you have seen them and you still ignore them.
You don't want to hear it.
I give them to you all the time and you ignore them. So I don't want to hear you saying, well, why doesn't he do this? Because I've given you those metrics, and you know what? I'm going to give them to you again. So since old Hunter Yurachek didn't give it to you, I'll give it to you once again. So here we go. These are the metrics that the committee uses. We'll show it to you for the 750th time in this show right now. Notre Dame, better game control than Miami. Notre Dame, better strength of record than Miami. Miami, better strength of schedule. All 3 of those, slight. Miami has the higher ranked win. No, these wins and losses is based off of last week's resume, because what I was told is that the committee looks at the wins losses based on the most recent top 25. So Miami is actually 2-1. This needs to be updated. Notre Dame's 2-2. Notre Dame has 5 quality wins. Miami has 4. That is updated. And then you go down to these other metrics that they look at. So the top 5, FEI, FPI, Sagarin, SP+, the Massey rating, they don't look at those. So even though Notre Dame is ranked higher, those don't matter. So again, being honest, these are the other metrics that they look at. It's down here. Miami has the better defense, slightly. Notre Dame has the better offense, significantly. So again, that's the metrics. And that's why every computer model has Notre Dame ahead, because they're getting the same outcome when they compute it in a computer as the humans are when they compute it. I had someone earlier tell me that Miami is the hottest team in the country. And so I went ahead and said, okay, well, let's look at the data. And I basically pointed out that it's false, that Notre Dame in the last 4 games is averaging 51 points a game. Miami's averaging. So in the last 4 games during Miami's current win streak, this is why, again, when you want to know why the rankings are what they are, if you're actually looking for an honest answer, they say Miami's been hot the last 4 games. Last 4 games, Miami's opponents have a winning percentage of .438, sub 500. They played 3-9 Syracuse, 3-9 Virginia Tech, 7-5 NC State, and 8-4 Pitt. So 21-27 combined record. In those games, Miami has scored 37.8 points per game. They've given up 10.3 points per game. They've averaged 6.9 yards per play. They've given up 4.5 yards per play. In that same time, that same 4-game win streak, which Miami fans claim is the big reason why they should be getting in, Notre Dame has averaged 51.3 points per game. Miami scored over 40 points once during that stretch. Notre Dame has scored over 40 points. I'm actually just screenshotted it. Notre Dame has scored over 40 points in every single game except the Pitt game where they scored 37, 1 less point than Pitt. Notre Dame has more yards per play on offense, more yards per game on offense, better yards per play allowed on defense, and better yards per play allowed against a tougher schedule than what Miami has faced. So as hot as Miami has been, they're still not as good as Notre Dame, and this isn't even Notre Dame's hottest stretch of the season. That's why. So we're going to give you data once again. Did that last part show up? Did I have that part up right there?
No.
Okay. So this is the data. Up here, Notre Dame. That's the record of the teams they played. Notre Dame scoring 14 more points per game. Miami's allowing 3 fewer points per game. Notre Dame has better yards per game on offense, better yards per game on defense, almost better yards per play allowed, better on offense, better yards per play allowed on defense. That's why. That's why. And you say, okay, let's pull up common opponents. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and pull up common opponents. We can do that. Let me get this right
It's
here.
not about the final score, my guy. Clearly, you're not watching the games if you're just going to talk about final score.
No, it's cool. Final common opponents. Okay. Here we go. Notre Dame against the 4 teams they have played has let me see here. So Notre Dame in those games has scored 48 points per game. So I'll pull that up here real quick because I have that graph here as well. Let me just add up the data. So if you want to show common opponents, again, I don't want to hear you crying when this doesn't turn out the way that you hope that it does. So in that period, all right, just give me a sec. Here is that data. So if you want common opponents, here is that data as well. All right. So I'll add that to the screen because you said you wanted data. So we're going to give you data. All right. Let me just pull this down so I can put this one in there. Takes a little bit of finagling when it's not in there. All right. So here's the data. And hopefully, you'll see it again and you're going to refuse to see it again. But I'm still going to put it up because you accuse people of not being able to pull it up. So let's go to common opponents. 4 common opponents. Notre Dame has averaged 48 points a game. Miami 39.8. Notre Dame's given up 12.3. Miami's given up 7.8. Notre Dame is averaging a half yard more per play on offense. They're averaging more yards per offense. Miami's got better yards allowed on defense and 0.1 better on defense. Notre Dame is winning by an average margin of 35.7. Miami's average margin is 32. There's literally no metric where Miami's better than Notre Dame. You want to compare common opponents, Notre Dame is more dominant. You want to compare, most recent stretch, Miami's hot streak, Notre Dame is better. Miami has one thing going for them, head-to-head. And what you Miami fans refuse to believe is this is the only reason you're even in the conversation is because you have head-to-head. Head-to-head is the reason you're here and not behind Vanderbilt. That's it. That's it. But you know what? You're still going to ignore it and do what you've always done, which is la 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 la. Every time somebody tells you why exactly Miami's not there, every computer model has Miami behind Notre Dame. Every human poll has Notre Dame ahead of Miami. There's a reason why.
Yeah. Super chat from Philip. Thank you, Philip. Miami fans think this means they're setting up a Miami Notre Dame head-to-head comparison. LOL.
They can think that. That's cool.
I mean,
That's
maybe they
awesome.
are. Maybe they are. We'll find out
Yeah.
next week, right? I mean, we'll find out next week. I don't think they are, but maybe they are.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
they
don't
are.
think they are either. It is what it is.
Because
Nothing's
they don't
changing.
need to.
Nothing's
don't
changing
need to.
between now and then. Nothing.
But they don't need to. They don't need to. They could. There's no reason why Notre Dame was ahead of them. Well, they lost 2 or 3. Okay, they had multiple weeks to move Miami ahead, including right now. This would have been the week to say, look, Notre Dame's
over.
Resume took a hit. A&M lost. Boise State has fallen apart down. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
we're going to move BYU and Miami ahead of them. This had been the week to do it.
And they didn't. And there's a reason. And he told you exactly what the reason was. Your beef isn't with us.
So, they are wanting Miami over Notre Dame. If they wanted, guys, this is not hard. If they wanted Miami over Notre Dame, they've done that.
Be there now.
We just saw them. They wanted Alabama over Notre Dame, so they moved them ahead of them.
Correct.
They've had multiple opportunities to do that. They weren't forced to rank Notre Dame where they did. Like, it's okay to be upset, but we also need to be a little bit rational as well and not like, what's the conspiracy? Well, if they wanted Notre Dame out, they'd move Notre Dame out. They would have already done so.
They put Bama ahead of Notre Dame because they want to have a buffer for Alabama if they lose to Georgia.
Exactly.
Plain and simple, guys. This is not hard to figure out or understand.
I mean, I don't want to say definitively that people are wrong. I don't want to say that, Vince, because of what we saw today. But again, it's just common sense. Why did we say, like, none of us were upset? We're not shocked that Bama moved ahead of Notre Dame.
Right.
Trevor and I talked about it in the show today. This is why they would do it. So I'm not shocked by it. If they wanted to move Miami ahead of Notre Dame, they would have done it this week. Because they could have easily justified moving BYU up.
Super chat from Florida Irish. Appreciate the super chat. I guess we need to root for a BYU loss and a Boise State win. The Mountain West ship. The committee is going to do whatever necessary to keep Bama in. I mean, yeah, that's what the move today did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are. It's a buffer to keep Alabama in the playoff. Like, that's, you can agree or not agree, but that's what I think that's exactly what they did.
I think it's twofold. You guys agree with this? I think it's partly protecting Bama because it's Bama.
Correct.
I also think it's protecting the SEC runner-up, no matter who it might be.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair.
Like,
they don't care about the Big 12 runner-up. They don't care. They don't
because the
care.
Big 12 and ACC have no say in what happens in future
Big
rankings.
10,
it's all the Big
they've
10
protected
and the
themselves because they're 1-2, and so whoever loses that game is probably still going to get a bye. They're probably still going to get a bye. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
Big
if IU
1, 2,
loses
5,
that game,
not going anywhere.
They're going to 4. If Ohio State loses that game, they're going to 3 or 4. Like, they're still going to get a bye. Yep. Like, that's how that's going to go, right? They're protecting the Big 10 and the SEC. No doubt about it.
I think the only way Bama doesn't get in, and I think he left that little caveat. Basically, what did he say? Something extreme or something like that?
Yeah. If they get absolutely taken out to the woodshed.
Right.
Which I don't see that happening. Now, maybe it does, but I don't see that happening. They could lose by double digits, but they're not going to lose by like 25 or something like that. I don't see that happening. But yeah, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Super chat from Sharp. Thank you, Sharp. It's not a playoff, the ESPN Invitational, and let the ACC die.
Yeah. I mean, agree on both of those.
From Matt Culp, thank you for the super chat. I think the only chance is both Bama and BYU lose.
Don't agree with that.
Yeah,
is it possible? Am I going to say you're nuts, Matt? No, I'm not going to say that. I just don't think that's accurate. We got a super sticker from Charlie Bird 2149, and then also a super chat from Charlie Bird 2419. Thank you very much for both of those. Appreciate you.
Says, if I'm Freeman, I text the entire team right now. Everyone thinks you suck. Let's go to work.
That's not going to accomplish anything. I mean, it's whatever.
If I'm one of Freeman or Pete Ravacco, and we talked about it earlier in the show, I'm starting to take some of my stand that I'm doing allegedly behind closed doors public. Like,
Very public.
Notre Dame can't just continue to be like this kid on the block that gets bullied. And it's like, man, you just wait until we have our shot to prove ourselves. Like, be the villain. Just accept the role.
They're going to make the, you know what, Trev, dude, this is, I say this, and there are certain people, certain groups, certain parties, whatever the case may be, where no matter what you try to do, no matter how much you want to be liked, they're never going to accept you. They're never going to embrace you until you do the one thing that they want you to do that you're not willing to do. Join a conference. It's the only way you get them to accept you in this instance. So if you want to be independent, then you need to pretty much become who they say you are. We think we're better than you. Yes, we do. And here's how we're going to go show it. You think you're special. Yes, we do. And we're going to go show it. You know what I mean? And embrace that. Hey, you're the villain of college football. Cool. Then you know what? Somebody in the chat said this. Marcus Freeman was told by the committee, basically, don't pull your starters, run it up. So, Coach Freeman, take notice. You put your starters, if you put your backups in the game, you better heat them up. You better be trying to score. You better make sure they don't score. That will be your directive to Mike Denbrock and Chris Ash in next year, or if Chris Ash is, or somebody else or whoever, whatever happens. Look, man, if you give up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, I'm treating that like you gave up 2 in the first quarter. You know what I mean? Like, that, fine. This is what you want. This is what we're going to do. We got 5 ACC teams on the schedule next year. Good luck. Because we're throwing bombs in the fourth quarter, each one of the games against you sorry bums. And Miami, you better not fall behind early when you come to South Bend next year. Because it's going to get real nasty. So become, like, if they're going to, like, because here's the thing. You can be nice all you want. You can look out for the ACC, fight for the ACC behind the scenes, but they're still going to stab you right in the back the first chance they get. So you know what? Become what they say you are. And just beat the crap out of all, run it up. Don't care. Because they're gonna, when you don't run it up, they're gonna try to use that against you.
They're not gonna like you anyways.
Exactly. So give them a reason to. It's like, guys ever watch the Sinbad comedy? You ever seen him do the skit, Sinbad? So he's got this one where he's talking about, man, I'm not getting no 12 o'clock whooping. I'm not going to get no 12 o'clock being like curfew's 11. I'm not getting no 12 o'clock whooping. If I'm late, if I'm going to get a whooping, I'm going to earn that whooping. I'm going to get like a 4 o'clock in the morning whooping. So they're going to dislike you no matter what you do. So you might as well just say, fine, this is what we're going to do then. We're going to lean hard into this. If you didn't like us before, you're going to hate us now. Because it's like you can see in the chat, you throw all the data to the Miami fan in the chat, all the numbers, and all he comes away with is, so you're admitting the committee's biased. So I'm saying, like, so no matter what you do or say, the idiots are going to stay idiots. The people who hate you are going to hate you. There's nothing you're going to do. So you know what? Embrace that. Because you know what? Recruits tend to like to want to play for that program. Top players kind of like playing for the team that everybody hates. So embrace it.
They wanted to play for Bama.
Yep. Yeah. I forgot to show the one data point between Notre Dame and Miami. Losses against unranked teams. Notre Dame 0, Miami 2. Forgot that one. Mark, ESPN Invitational. Thank you for that, Mark. I appreciate it.
Super chat from Carlton Butler. Thank you, Carlton. Is Notre Dame politicking behind the scenes? Is that what the quiet confidence is about?
But it's maybe. But how did that work out for him? Right? Clearly, if they are doing it, it ain't working. Because most people don't. In Carlton, I get where you're coming from. The problem you have, Carlton, is you are smart and have common sense. In this instance, that doesn't seem to work. A lot of people won't be afraid of things that you say to them behind the scenes. Okay, you guys work for me. If I call you up and I go off on you a little bit about something you need to do differently or whatever, you're not going to like that, right? But how would you react if, like, right now in the middle of the show, I just started throwing that all out there? Now, I'm saying that because these guys do great work, so that's not an issue. The next time I yell at Trevor for a job he didn't do well will be the first time I yell at Trevor for a job he didn't do well. But what would you prefer? What's going to
notice how he didn't say that about me?
We can fix that. You know what I'm saying?
Notice how he didn't say that about me, but that's okay.
They all know that I love you, Vince. But the point is, what's gonna have a greater impact on your behavior? Knowing that I might just blast you in front of 1,000 people on the chat right now, or that I called you up and, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's my point. Now, I would never do that because that's classless.
Yeah.
But you get the point. I'm using an extreme example to get the point across.
Trev, you do great work. Vince, you're here.
You're here. Thanks for showing up.
You're my guy. You're my friend.
Vince, we live in the same neighborhood.
I just got a text from my buddy that I need to start pulling my weight. So there you go.
Your kid's a good kicker. No, so all the podcasts that get put up, Vince does all those. Everybody knows Vince is my guy. He's the OG.
Oh, that's great.
Super chat from Kyle Breslin. Appreciate you, Kyle. I think we're in the Tony the Tiger Bowl again, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You can think
Super
that.
sticker
fine.
from Rocket 2579. Appreciate you.
I mean, no offense. I just don't know what you expect me to say to that.
My buddy texted me and he's like, "Hey man,
we'll find out on Sunday."
Yeah, he's like, "What bowl game are we going to end up in?" I'm like, "The CFP, man. Like that's what you
right.
Don't go down that rabbit hole. Come on, man."
Yeah. Well, if that happens on Sunday, it happens on Sunday. We'll figure it out.
Right.
Yep. Super chat from 740 Ohio. Nice. Thank you for the super chat. Don't be surprised that the Big 12 officials are very pro BYU. Big 12 would love to get 2 teams in.
That's fine, but Big 12 people have to recuse themselves from talking about the Big 12. Just like ACC people have to recuse themselves from talking about the ACC and things like that. I don't think that this committee is a group of, like, I don't think it's like where all the ACC people are advocating for ACC people, all the Big 10. I don't think that's what's going on. If that was true, Notre Dame never would have been ranked as high as they were anyway.
Right.
I think sometimes people genuinely want to do a good job, but then there does come a point in time where you have to start making some business decisions. That's the reality of it. And I think that this is somewhat self-preservation. If they leave the Big Ten, the SEC runner-up out of the playoff this year, the SEC will blow the whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
And they can. And so they're protecting themselves. That's what I think is going on here. But I think by and large, the committee wants to get it right. They don't always do it, but I don't think this is a bunch of Big 12 people politicking for Big 12 people. I don't think that's what's necessarily going on to the degree that we think that it is.
Well, and also the Big 12 officials in the conference championship game, man. I mean, look, there's only so much officials can do. And Texas Tech, the last time they played BYU, were so dominant that nothing that they did in that game would be left up to the officials.
Correct. And anybody that's saying that, Texas Tech is going to lay down for BYU and all these different things to get it. Texas Tech, you know how many times Texas Tech has won the Big 12 championship outright? Guys, do you know the answer to this?
Never.
0.
Never.
You think with an opportunity to do this, have an historic season at Texas Tech, you think they're going to be like, okay, guys, you can have it.
Plus, they're going to fall. If they lose, they're the number 5 seed. If they lose, they're falling behind Ole Miss. They're going to fall behind Oregon. They're probably going to fall behind. I mean, they might go on the road. Plus, if they drop, that means they get a tougher draw in round 1.
Right.
They're going to at least
fall behind A&M because maybe they've become the best 2-loss team, but that puts them at 7 or 8, 7 or 8, something like that. So, like,
that's assuming you stay ahead. And then if Bama beats Georgia, you're going to be behind Georgia and Bama.
Correct.
Yep.
So now you went from a bye or hosting a first-round playoff game against James Madison or North Texas or Tulane to I got to travel to South Bend or I got to travel to Norman or I got to travel to Tuscaloosa. No, they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do
that. And sometimes it doesn't matter. I mean, look at the Pitt game. Sometimes the officiating they can try all they want to hurt you, but sometimes it just doesn't matter because you're that much better than the team.
100%. Super chat from David Ingalls. Appreciate the super chat. Please understand this comment is coming from a place of frustration and is meant tongue-in-cheek. If there's any silver lining here, it's that Coach Marcus Freeman gets his team better prepared for games 1 through 3 next year.
He better.
We talk about that, yeah.
Yes, that is the imperative.
Got to be the takeaway, right? I mean, that has to be the takeaway from the season and from your coaching, resume up to this point.
Your entire tenure.
Yeah, exactly.
Your first year, you started 2-2. Your second year, you started 4-0 because you played 4 crap teams. And then once you got to the tough part of your schedule, you went 1-2. In 2024, you went 1-1 out of the gate, lost to a MAC team at home. And 2025, you went 0-2 to start the season. September has not been a good month for Marcus Freeman. And eventually it's going to cost you. Hopefully it's not this year, but eventually it's going to cost you. You got to learn something. And this is all coaches do this. Something that we're doing has us not as prepared to play at a higher level early in the season.
Yep.
Are we relying too much on veteran players?
Yeah. What is it?
Are we relying on, are we not hitting enough? Are we not repping enough? Did we wait too long to make the quarterback decision? There's a million different things that you have to figure out and say, okay, well, we think this is why. And then make those adjustments. So certainly it's going to have to be something that they try to improve upon. Absolutely. And if they don't, then Marcus Freeman's not the coach that we think he is. But I don't think that's true. I think he is the coach we think he is.
Super chat from Dave, 8631. Appreciate you, Dave. The real problem I have is high-ranking government officials trying to strong-arm the committee for something as trivial as sports. The possible implications of that should concern all of us.
This is not the first time that a high-ranking official has spoken up about sports, and it will not be the last time.
Or the playoffs or the BCS,
right.
Whatever.
It's always happened.
I watched the clip with Marco Rubio and the president, and it was. I think they were having fun with it.
Come on,
I think they're. He said, "I'm a Florida guy." I don't think they're like. I read Ron DeSantis's tweet. He's not threatening legal action against the playoff committee if they don't do it. He's given his opinion, looking out for people in his state. He's
right.
Okay,
cool.
It's like when governors make bets on who's going to win basketball games and stuff. Like,
right.
I think the problem that Rubio's comments had is he talked about if they don't do this, then the president's going to have to take control of the whole thing. And I think that freaks people out who have a natural tendency of believing that, every horrible thing about people that are in the party that they don't support. I watched it. I thought it was just being funny. I thought they were just kind of joking. I didn't take it as it was a real threat. You better put Miami in or Donald Trump's going to take over the playoff. It was, it was said in jest. So, but I also do agree that this is not something necessarily that they should be doing. But at the same time, at this point in time, the government has to get involved. It's a $1 billion industry, and the NCAA has completely lost control. You got state governments doing different laws to protect NIL and all this other kind of crap. At some point in time, you're going to have to get it federally protected, just like the NFL is, just like NBA is, just like Major League Baseball is, just like hockey is. And that unfortunately requires federal government to be involved. Hopefully they don't get too much involved, but they're going to have to get involved at some point in time.
Super chat from Mark M. Appreciate you, Mark. They can't stick their chest out and claim that Notre Dame is better than Miami for a month and then suddenly on Selection Day Sunday flip us.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, anything can happen, but
he said it today, very clearly, 3 times, and got very annoyed by the 3rd time. So I don't see how they could do that either.
Like if they were going to give in to peer pressure, I just feel like they would have done it already.
Yes, because there has never been more pressure from the media and Miami people than there has been this past week. Because even people that were giving Notre Dame the benefit of the doubt for a little while have turned and are like, I don't know how they can do with it. Keep my blah, 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 blah. So like even those people have turned. So the pressure has never been higher than it was going into this ranking. And they still put Notre Dame 2 spots ahead of Miami. They still did it.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's right. Somebody said you got governors firing coaches. Again, that's in a state where the governor is the head of the state university.
Right.
I don't like it, but that's the way it is in Louisiana.
Correct.
They're state schools. That means they answer ultimately to
they don't have
the governor's office.
From Jersey Bear, appreciate the super chat. The ACC thinks Duke is more deserving than Miami. LOL. I've been enjoying watching Brian torch these fools on Twitter.
I got to admit, the last couple days it's been tougher just because you get to the point where you're like, you realize these people are just that stupid.
Yeah.
And they refuse to just like hear logic whatsoever. Like they're just that stupid.
Unfortunately,
and it's not as much fun when they're just dumb.
Well, and unfortunately, it's just there's nothing that I could say that they're going to be like, you know what, Trev, you're right. I'm changing my whole stance. And unfortunately, that's just where people are at. I'm not saying that people need to listen to me or what we're saying or what Brian is specifically saying, but it's just I'm down to talk ball. I'm down to debate football. I think that's fun, and I thoroughly enjoy it. There's no debating with people that can't hold the debate. And that's where we're at with this one, because it will always resort back to head-to-head. Always.
Or whatever other narrative fits their team's desire. And it's like, look, I'm okay with you being a homer for your team. But but it's just, it immediately goes to insults and, and refute. It's just like closing your eyes, plugging your ears whenever somebody makes an argument. It gets to the point where it's almost like, I feel bad. Like, I feel like I'm almost beating up on like the little kid in the neighborhood that you're supposed to protect. And you end up just picking on him. Like, that's kind of how I feel. Like, these are really not smart people, and I'm crushing them on Twitter. And it gets to the point where it's almost kind of like feel bad, like throwing the towel, a little bit. But I'll probably have a few more days of that, so we'll see.
All the way till Sunday at whatever time they're going to do these rankings on Sunday.
Yeah,
I just hope it's early on Sunday because I don't want to deal with it all day on Sunday.
Yeah,
pretty sure this is Chief Brody. I recognize
it is. Yeah,
recognize the avatar. So super chat from Chief Brody. Appreciate you. They want Notre Dame in. They haven't gotten the results to solidify it. Same as us. If it's Notre Dame 10 and Miami 11, they're putting Miami in. Need both Bama and BYU to lose.
You don't. But
I mean, if you believe that, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to change your mind. Fortunately, we'll find out in 5 days.
Yeah. I think both of those teams will lose, but I don't think you need that to happen.
Look, the reality is at this point in time, after 5 rankings, if people still think that, there's literally not. Somebody's like, talk me off the ledge. And I'm like, if what I've said the last month isn't talked you off the ledge yet, then I'm not doing it today. So it is what it is.
Super chat from Sean Kelly, who says the committee is going to move Bama down at all after losing the SEC championship game.
We don't know that for sure, but every team that lost the conference championship game last year moved down. At least a spot. Every single one.
So it's not who says, it's that we're just going off of what they've done in the past.
Right.
They've moved down.
Right.
That's why they moved. I mean, in my opinion, Vince's opinion, that's why they moved Alabama up a spot. So now they have room to move them down. They'll only move them down one spot. They'll still get in, but they will be quote unquote punished for losing.
Right.
But they'll still be in. That's why they got moved up.
Right. I mean, 2021 season. Actually, let me look at the rankings just to make sure that I'm accurate on this, because I'm pretty sure that I am, but I just want to be sure. So just give me a second, because if I'm not right, I don't want to say something that I then have to go correct the record. So let me just go look here. So going into the SEC championship in 2021, Georgia was the number 1 team in the country. They were 12-0. Bama was number 3. They were 11-1. Bama beat Georgia. Georgia fell to 3. Bama went up to number 1. So, I mean, it's a lot of, in the 4-team playoffs, a lot of the teams that made the 4 didn't lose. And we've only got one example of a 12-team playoff. We have multiple examples of conference championship games knocking teams out in the past. So, I mean, I can only go off of what we have seen. And I mean, that's all we can do. I can't, I don't really know what you want me to tell you other than that. Every time we've seen a team lose a championship game that I can recall, they've moved down at least a spot. So that's why.
Super chat from Mike Hockner. Appreciate you, Mike. Notre Dame's ACC 2025 record is better than Miami's.
Yeah, I mean, better win percentage, I'm pretty sure. Miami was what, 6-2?
Mm-hmm.
in the ACC. What did Notre Dame go 4-1? So they lost to Miami, beat NC State, beat BC, beat Pitt, beat Syracuse, beat Stanford. So yeah, Notre Dame had Notre Dame had an 833 win percentage against ACC teams. Miami was a 750. So yeah.
Super chat from Dr. Bull Dobbs. Appreciate you. Do we know which bowl the number 2 versus number 7 or 10 team will be?
We don't, because the number 1 team gets to select the first bowl. Then the number 2 team gets to select the second bowl, 3 and 4, and so on. So it'll be based on potential tie-ins, but also geography. They're going to want to be as close to their campus as they possibly can so that their fans can get there. And so until we know who the number 2 team actually is, we're not going to know which bowl game they're going to end up in.
Yep.
So my guess is there's going to be a Big Ten team number 1. I think they go to the Rose Bowl. Now, after that, I realize that throws out the geography thing, but you've got the traditional tie-in of the Big Ten team being in the Rose Bowl. Like, I think that's probably the route that they'll go. Just depends on who number 2 is. If it's Georgia, you don't think that they want to be in Atlanta? I think that's one of the second round spots. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how it goes. They get to choose in that order.
Yep. Or at least down south. I think the Peach Bowl might be.
Is that the next round? Is that final
semifinals?
Four? Okay. But I haven't looked because I don't care yet.
It's it's Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl.
Okay.
Let me just pull it up real quick. The
quarterfinals, quarters.
Yeah, orange and where's it at? No. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. It is the quarterfinals. Is the Cotton Bowl plays Wednesday night, December 31st, and on January 1st is the Orange Bowl at noon, Rose Bowl at 4, Sugar Bowl at 8, and then this is the Fiesta. So, like the SEC winner, to your point, Vince, goes to probably the Sugar Bowl,
right?
Like it did here. So,
yep.
Super chat from Christopher Galloway. Appreciate you, man. Not happy but comfortable in the situation that.
Hold on. Is it a given that that if Ohio State's number 1, they'd go to the Rose Bowl?
It's not a given. I just think that they might go there. I think.
Okay, so you're just thinking that would be their choice. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Just because of the tie-in, the historic tie-in. I just think they would choose the Rose Bowl. So that's just my opinion. They could very well choose something that's more geographically.
I thought I thought you were saying that they would
that they have to
go to the Rose.
Yeah. So no, they get to pick. Yeah.
Got it.
Super chat from Christopher Galloway. Appreciate you, man. Not happy but comfortable in the situation that we are in.
Comfortable's rough.
I agree.
That's right. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Super chat from Aiden Regan. Appreciate you. So, what do they do next year when an ACC or Big 12 team loses their coach? What do they do then? I'd like to see how they'll walk that back.
So, what do they do next year when an ACC or Big 12 team loses their coach? I assume that they'll just make, well, that was a different committee than this one. We have new members. That's
Most
always
likely
the excuse. It's a different committee. It's different leadership. They'll make an excuse. You're 100% right, Aiden. We'll get to this from a Miami fan. Brian, Indy doesn't have any big game wins. USC, are you kidding me? You're kind of an example, track side, of what exactly we're talking about. Your unwillingness to have a grown-up conversation. So, like, no matter what I say to you, no matter what data I give you, all you're going to do is give me some kind of childish third grade, well, USC sucks. Okay, fine. The number 16 team in the country that Notre Dame beat by 10 sucks. I don't know exactly what you want me to say. What's the second best win? Pitt? That's Notre Dame's second best win. What's your third best win? South Florida? Well, Notre Dame's third best win is Navy, who beat South Florida. Like what exactly are you trying to accomplish other than to feel better about yourself about saying, I told them because I said USC sucks. Okay, cool. You want a cookie? You can't have, you're showing exactly what I'm talking about, that you can't have an adult conversation with people who aren't willing to actually have an adult conversation. Oh, USC's not any good. That's not a big, Notre Dame playing their rival on national TV when they're ranked in the top 25 apparently is not a big game. Okay. Sure. Okay. I mean, I can't have a conversation with you because you say, well, this doesn't count. Okay, so let's argue for 10 minutes of whether or not USC is a big win or not. That's stupid. Like literally, your whole point is Notre Dame doesn't deserve to be ranked where they are. Yet we're going to build our entire resume on beating Notre Dame. It's one of the dumbest things that you guys do as a fan base. Notre Dame's not good. Like I had one guy say to me, Notre Dame should be ranked where Miami is, or where USC is. So then your best win is over a team that's ranked right where Notre Dame's best win is. I don't think you're making the point you think you are, but it sounds cool, and my other stupid friends gave me a like button for it. So.
Super chat from BK's Last Blood Vessel. Do you think it's possible the entire NCAA is going after Notre Dame because they are terrified of Notre Dame's resurgence?
No, I think that's taking it too far. I don't think because if that was true, they wouldn't have put him in where they put him in to begin with. Like I have no problem with the conspiracy theory if you can give me actual evidence for it besides just your thoughts and feelings. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but I would need something.
Sure. Super chat from Kuba Puig. Thank you for the super chat. Do you honestly think we make it in?
Yeah, I do. Am I as confident in it right now as I was 5 hours ago? No. Do I still think they make it in? Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and bet my mortgage on it because it's a decision being made by people I don't control. I can just tell you what the committee chair is saying.
Super chat from James Costanzo. Appreciate you, James. If Boise State wins, do they jump in the top 25 at 9-4 and give Notre Dame a nice boost?
I don't think that they jump in, Jim, but it does still give Notre Dame a boost. It would improve Notre Dame's overall resume a bit. I do think that is the case. So, I mean, you're not – so to Jim's point, we won't just be rooting for a couple teams to lose. We'll also be rooting Friday night for one particular team to win.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could happen, James, especially like if with North Texas being ranked, 24th? It could happen if they get dominated by Tulane in the conference championship, or if James Madison loses in their conference championship, then I could, and Boise State obviously wins the Mountain West, then I could see them doing it. But again, not betting the house on it because Boise State hasn't looked great.
Except when they played UNLV for some reason. Like in the last month and a half, that was like the only game that they looked really good. But that could end up being a drawback because now there's a little bit of, Dan Mullen's going to have a little redemption on his mind.
Super chat from Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts. Appreciate the super chat. RELAX. Relax. Also, Notre Dame versus the world. Let's go.
Embrace that. Notre Dame fans, Notre Dame administration, Notre Dame coaches, Notre Dame players, Notre Dame recruits, embrace that. It's time to embrace that.
I was about to say, man, shoot, I've been embracing that since I became a fan. It's time that the program and the university starts to embrace that. They've got to. It's time.
Yep. The hate-us thing, because they ain't us thing, needs to be embraced by more than just the fan base.
Another one from Lou. Appreciate you. How on God's green earth did Miami jump from 18th to 12th? Also, can you imagine if Notre Dame is left out, but Tulane and James Madison are in? Bruh.
Miami deserved to climb up from 18 to 12. They've been dominant over the teams they've played the last month, while other teams are losing. Like they've played one good team in their 4-game win streak, but they whooped that good team pretty good. I have no problem with Miami jumping up. I would argue that Miami has a case to be in the playoff. I think that Miami should be in. You talk about Notre Dame being left out, but Tulane and JMU are in. That's what I'm saying if I'm a Miami fan. How the heck are we not in the playoff and James Madison and Tulane are, or Virginia is, or whatever the case may be? I totally get that. Totally get that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm fine with Miami climbing up. I think they deserve to be ranked where they are. I have no problem with that. I hate Miami in a lot of ways, but I've said this a million times, guys. I am not going to sacrifice my integrity to support Notre Dame. If I don't believe something, I'm not going to say it just because it benefits Notre Dame. Just not going to do it. Just not going to do it. So you're going to get my honest opinion. That's where it's at.
Another one from Mark. Appreciate you. Stop feeding the group of five. Those schools bring down the quality of play.
Talking about the playoff, I would say that's accurate. I would agree with that. I understand why they have those teams in there. I just don't like the reason why.
Yep. Same. Super chat from William Hopkins. Appreciate you. Why would two-loss BYU, whose 2 losses are to number 4 Texas Tech, 1 in the title game, be seen as less than Miami with their 2 losses?
I mean, I just think Miami's a better team than BYU. The metrics show that. I don't think that BYU is 10-2 if they played Miami's schedule. I just think Miami's a better team. Like, look, I don't like Miami, as I said just a minute ago. Can't stand that program. Can't stand that fan base. Can't stand a lot of things about them. But if they're good, I'm going to say they're good. If they were better than Notre Dame, over the course of the season, I'd say they're better than Notre Dame. I mean, you've never once heard us say, well, you got lucky against Notre Dame, and if they played again, we'd kick your butts. I mean, I think they beat Miami if they played again, but what we have said since the day the game happened till now is Miami outplayed Notre Dame that day. We're not going, first game doesn't matter. You've never heard us say that either. First game does matter. Because if the first game didn't matter, then Notre Dame should be ranked 4th, 5th. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind saying Miami's good. They're just not better than Notre Dame when you look at all the criteria that goes into this conversation. And I think Miami's better than BYU. I've never been impressed with BYU. Just not.
Super chat from Gavin Schmavin. Appreciate you. Does Notre Dame need both BYU and a Bama loss or just one?
I think just one, but if both happen, you'll sleep a lot better on Saturday night.
Yep.
From Charlie Bird with a super chat. Someone should ask the questions here. Who is the 1993 national champion if head-to-head is so important?
I agree. We've said that. Look, I'll listen to ACC cry about Notre Dame Miami head-to-head mattering when they are willing to publicly give up the 1993 national championship that Florida State won over Notre Dame. So there's
Notre Dame didn't lose to an unranked Boston College team. They were actually ranked.
Boston, exactly.
So it's a little different.
15th.
Yeah,
I think they were 15th at the time.
Something. It was a teen. Yeah. So
right.
It's even
I mean,
a little
Tom
bit
Coughlin
different.
was their head coach. Right. Like everybody acts like, oh man, Boston College, they suck. No, they had an NFL quarterback, an NFL tight end, and Tom Coughlin, who would win multiple Super Bowls, was their coach. They were ranked 17th.
There you go.
BC was. They finished that year that 9-3. Their losses were to number 5 West Virginia, number 3 Miami, and Northwestern. They beat number 13 Syracuse on the road. They beat 25 Virginia Tech. They beat number 1 Notre Dame, and they beat Virginia in a bowl game. So they're pretty good. But Notre Dame still shouldn't have lost.
Oh, 100%.
You got the head-to-head against Florida State, though, baby. That's all that matters, apparently.
That's what they be saying. Super chat from Ethan Kaufman. Appreciate you. Alabama loses they have to drop at least 1 spot. Yeah. If Alabama loses, they have to drop at least 1 spot. Notre Dame will take back 9, moving Alabama over us protected Bama for the playoffs.
Agree completely. Yep. Absolutely nailed it, Ethan.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
From David Ingles, appreciate you. Have the politics we've discussed tonight always been there, even pre-BCS, or is it just more transparent?
Oh, it's always been there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just easier and more obvious because there's more teams to move around and jostle, and it just makes it more clear. It's always been there.
And the internet has made it more obvious when things like that are happening. But the AP voting has always had some shadiness to it, and there's a lot of people that felt that the reason they put Florida State over Notre Dame in 93 is because it was kind of like a lifetime achievement award for Bobby Bowden for all the great things he did, but never won a title, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's true. I think Florida State won it because they were one of the 2 best teams in the country. And even though they lost head to head to number 2, they had a better overall resume. They won like 5 or 6 games against ranked teams, including top 10 Miami. They beat top 10 Florida. Their only loss was to number 2 Notre Dame, where Notre Dame's loss was to number 15 or whatever BC.
From Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts, appreciate you, Lou. One thing I appreciate, we own that we put ourselves in this position because of our losses. I don't see Texas, Miami, Bama doing this. Accountability.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Trackside, thank you again for your super chat. Appreciate that. I always like when people pay money so that I can yell at them and tell them how dumb their comments are. Appreciate that.
Super chat from Rob.
Fan bases do that. Like, I'm going to get this comment up there, so they have to read it. Okay, cool. I'm going to read it, but you're not going to like what I say after that.
Super chat from Robert Nash. Appreciate you, Robert. Is the committee setting up to have a 3 or 4 loss team in the college football playoffs in the future for the SEC and Big Ten?
When they expand to 16, absolutely. Because when they expand to 16, there'd be a 3-loss SEC team in there now.
Yes, absolutely.
And there'd be a 3-loss Big Ten team in there now.
Mm-hmm.
USC'd be 16 if they didn't have the automatic bids for the group of 5 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'm not looking forward to the days when the 24th team in the country is whining and moaning about why they can't make the playoffs.
Seriously.
That's going to be so sick.
Yeah.
Because, like, you could say, oh, your guys are, it says 12 team, you got to expand. Look, if we're at 16, then Utah and USC fans are crying about how Virginia and a group of 5 team are going to knock them out.
Well, and Brian, yeah, man, you and I had this conversation. I think we all might have one show over the summer. It's no matter what number they expand it to, the next 2 digits that are left out are going to continue to complain about, well, what about us? Why did we get in? It could be a 64-team playoff. Team 65 and 66 will complain about why they didn't get in.
Dude, watch basketball. Like, there's 68 that get in, and 69, 70, 71, and 72 are always pissed off. So, you know, it doesn't
we
matter.
wanted to get knocked out in the first round.
Right.
This is totally bullcrap.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big they make it, how many teams are in. Look, 12 is too many. There are not 12 teams in this that can win the national championship. Like, flat out, like, I have confidence they're going to win 4 games in a row. I don't think there is.
Agree, but I do think there are 12 teams that deserve a shot at it.
Okay. But
you know what I mean?
Do you still feel that way if James Madison and
no,
somebody else?
But that's my issue. I don't like the group of 5 thing. I think BYU and Miami have both earned the right to see if they can play.
Yes. And I want to go on record. I think Notre Dame and Miami both belong in over both Oklahoma and Alabama. That's how I feel.
Agree.
I'll take it a step further. I think Miami's more capable of going on a run in the playoffs than what Alabama is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that completely, because no one has figured out how to cover Malachi Toney yet.
And if you're a fan of another team and the only thing that you can come into this chat and say is join a conference, take your being a moron somewhere else.
Give me a break.
Like, literally. Miami's in a conference. How's that working out for them?
Yeah, seriously.
Miami's in a conference. They're the highest ranked team in that conference, and they're not even playing for the championship. Are you serious? Literally, this is not the year to say that type of stupidity.
Right.
Literally, the highest ranked ACC team is not playing in the ACC championship. Are you seriously that stupid? I'm sorry. That was a rhetorical question. Clearly, yes.
There is a 5-loss team getting ready to play for the ACC championship.
Thank you.
You cannot talk about conference championships.
Like, literally. Oh my God. Go ahead, Trev.
I'm going to stop myself because I'm going to say something that's just weird.
Listen, bro.
This is a
I'm not
professional
going to hate on you because you have an 80 IQ. I'm not going to hate on you. That's you. You got to live your life, but you don't need to show everyone. You can keep that to yourself. You don't have to come in here and say, hey, I would like to go into this chat and show everyone how stupid and shallow I am. Stupid is not a very nice word. I do apologize, but just shallow and simple. I don't mind saying that. I'm just so tired of these lazy, dumb, just like, oh, first person never come up with join a conference. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, can you be that dumb? Yes, sadly, is the answer. Join a conference. So why? I can watch a 7-5 team play for the league because in our 17-team league, I didn't play 4 of the teams in the top 6? Sure. That makes total sense. I would love to have to deal with that. Good Lord. Some of y'all, like, literally think for 2 seconds before you say something dumb. Like, Twitter should have a button before you can hit post. When you hit post, it should say, are you sure you want the world to know what you're about to say? Yes. Are you sure you want everyone to know that you're an idiot? You should then have to say yes again. Then you can post it.
What somebody tweeted at me today asking me, because I responded to a couple different things. I couldn't help myself today. And he goes, which conference championship is Notre Dame playing in? I go, which one is Miami playing in?
Thank you.
Like, what are you talking? Like,
I just want to say,
like, these aren't the
Notre
countdowns you think they are.
Has played in an ACC championship game more recently than Miami. I just want to remind people of that.
Seriously.
Duke has played in more ACC title games as of Saturday. They will have played in more ACC title games than Miami.
Super chat from Fish and Moto channel. Appreciate you, Fish. Committee had the chance to end the Miami Notre Dame conversation by leaving them at 9. You guys say Alabama buffer. I don't believe that one bit. Easier conversation is leaving Alabama in if they lose than the Miami Notre Dame conversation.
Agree to disagree. The precedent you would be setting is even if you lose your conference championship game, you won't move at all. And I don't think that's the precedent they want to set.
Correct.
I think they want to protect, because listen, if Bama beats Notre Dame, they're going to go ahead and Notre Dame anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't have to believe it. It's a free country. And you could ultimately be right, Fish. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you don't know. You could be right. I just don't believe that's the case, because I don't think they need to do that to move Miami ahead of Notre Dame. They've had ample opportunities to do that already.
Super chat from DPG80. Appreciate you. I agree with Cliff Huxtable. They're setting it up to keep Bama in. If they truly want the 12 best teams in, then Notre Dame has to be in that conversation. I don't have faith in the committee.
I agree. I agree with you completely. I just love that he went with the Cliff Huxtable thing. That's freaking awesome.
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much for that. That is awesome. I needed a smile. And that definitely brought me a smile. That was awesome. I agree with Cliff Huxtable. That's freaking great.
And anybody,
you do have the Cosby Show sweater on today, Vince. You definitely do.
It was happening.
You definitely do.
Yep.
Super chat from Brian's Balloons LLC.
I love this name, by the way. Sorry.
Patent pending.
I still don't know how that happened.
I don't either, but it's great.
Notre Dame still thinks they are the good kid in class, that they will win the hearts and be loved. All it really does is make the other kids hate them more. So become the villain and run every score.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Every ACC game next year, just run it up, man. Just run it up. Run it up.
Super chat from Ryan Sporto2. Appreciate you. I feel like if Texas Tech wins, the Bama game will decide it.
Possibly. I just think if Texas Tech wins, Notre Dame's good. I don't have any proof of that. It's just, I just like somebody. I mean, you're gonna read into whatever. A lot of times, people will read into whatever they want. Somebody in the chat was like, "Oh, I read the entire transcript. That's not good for Notre Dame." It's like, okay, well, I mean, our perceptions are different. I guess we'll find out in 5 days. That's
it's not good.
We'll find out in 5 days.
3 different times that Notre Dame was better than both Miami and BYU.
I'm just saying. The point is, Vince, is people are going to take that different ways.
Yeah.
We'll find out in 5 days.
Yeah.
And if they make the playoff, then we'll prepare for who they got to play. If they don't make the playoffs, we'll point to the reasons why, and we'll talk why. And it won't just be the committee screwed Notre Dame over. Because Trevor, you said it after the game against A&M. Notre Dame no longer controls their own destiny. You put yourself in this situation by losing to Miami and losing to Texas A&M. And to the other guy's point, the other fan bases aren't willing to say that. We are.
Yeah. Yeah, you put yourself in that
Miami,
position.
if you don't lose to SMU and Louisville, you're not in the situation. You're in. Don't lose to 2 unranked teams and you're in. Notre Dame, don't get beat by Miami and Texas A&M. Oh, it was a holding penalty. Yeah, the holding penalty is total bullcrap. You shouldn't have let it get to that. It should have never come to that.
Yep.
That was on you.
Yep.
You got screwed on the final play. You didn't get screwed getting to the final play. You screwed yourself getting to put yourself in that position. Yep. That'll be the thing that we'll talk about. Or we'll be talking about, hey, let's get ready to go play Bama or Oklahoma or Ole Miss or whoever, and let's go make a run and tell it, and then, shut everybody up by going on another 3-4 game run.
Like they did last year.
Exactly. Because people are saying, oh, Zervin, they lost to Northern Illinois last year. Oh, okay, fine. How'd that work out?
Yeah. Tell that to Penn State. Tell that to Georgia.
You guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Super chat from Charlie Bird. Appreciate you. When James Franklin is up 20 against Miami next year and is calling timeouts, just take it.
I don't know if he's going to be able to turn it around that quickly, but that would be nice.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
From Just Knox, appreciate you. What is the minimum point differential in a Georgia win that will slide Bama back down to 10, 14, more?
1,
Just a loss, period, I think moves them back one spot.
I think.
I mean, a massive loss. I think it's still one spot. I mean, I don't know. I don't see the committee moving them out of the 10 spot.
I think if they get like whooped, like the way Texas got whooped by Georgia, I could see them putting
Like
Miami in.
if the SEC championship game on Saturday looks anything like the Big 12 championship game last year, I think they drop Alabama out. But
And
that's
put Miami in. Agree.
that being said, I don't see that happening.
Also agree.
But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. All right. Let's get to the next one.
Super chat from K-Way for real. Appreciate you. If James Madison and Tulane both lose, why not make Miami play us in the 11 and number 12 spot? We smacked them this time.
Well, 11
because unfortunately the rules are that you have to have 5 conference champions, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Again, I think they could avoid a lot of this if they just put minimum rankings. You have to be ranked here to get in.
Yep.
You got to be ranked in the top 20, top 15 to, even
in a 12-team playoff, you got to be in the top 16. In a 16-team playoff, you got to be in the top 20.
Right.
Which would put Tulane in, but not
Right.
North Texas, but not JMU and whoever else.
Right.
And that would give Virginia a chance to, maybe jump USC if they go out and beat a good team in the ACC title game, if they didn't have those bids.
Super chat from Gandelvids. Sorry if I butchered that, but appreciate you regardless. Any thoughts? The Miami boosters are funding this media craze. Bring them all on. Got to win them all now. Go Irish.
Here's my thought on that. If that's true, what did you get for your money? Because right now Miami's on the outside looking in. That is a terrible ROI. Your return on investment was awful.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're doing that. Go ahead, Trev.
I don't think they are either, but
I don't think they're doing that. But if they are, you're like this. They're the same people that come into this show and put in a super chat that says join a conference and Notre Dame hasn't beat anybody. It just doesn't go anywhere. It's just pointless. There's no point. That being said, I don't think that they're doing that. I genuinely think that it's Miami's media team and the ACC making this push because the people leading the ACC are truly not intelligent people.
Yes. Facts. Yeah.
I love when people say, hey, Notre Dame should join a conference. You know what? You should go independent. How about that?
Well,
I flip it on them. I flip it on them.
I've done that before too. It doesn't work. They're not smart. I've explained. We did a whole segment on the show explaining why there were 25 teams that were independent in 1988 and only 2 now.
Mm-hmm. Ask BYU how going independent worked out for them.
Yeah.
It was not good because they had to join the Big 12 to stay afloat because they couldn't put together a schedule.
Part of that was Notre Dame's fault. Notre Dame was supposed to help BYU out, and they kind of gave them the shaft a little bit. But, yeah. Point is, somebody just said, rumor has it that ESPN just texted the committee and asked them again about Notre Dame and Miami again. That's well played, dude. That's from Freddie Beck with photo. That was great. Pull that one up. That was awesome. That was great. Very well done.
Super chat from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth 9839. Pat Narduzzi. Appreciate the super chat, by the way. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth 9839. Pat Narduzzi pointed out that Notre Dame corners were getting away with holding. Do you think this played into the committee's opinion of that win?
No, Her Majesty, I do not think that.
Not one bit.
I do appreciate your super chat, but no, I don't think so.
It played the same amount into the opinion of Miami throwing a touchdown with 41 seconds left with their first team offense in.
Probably even less. Probably even less.
Super chat from Mark E. Stewart. Appreciate you. No ball caps today. Ha!
Yeah.
We deserve to be in the playoffs.
Agree on the last one. It wasn't really planned. I know why Vince didn't have a hat on today. He just came from a school function. I took a shower in between shows and just didn't feel like putting a hat on, to be honest with you. So Trev just sometimes likes showing off the slick hair. You know,
He is slick.
No, in all honesty, I thought I was going to be late for the show because I didn't see your text that we pushed it back to 7:40, and I left my hat in the living room, and I was like, I guess we're just not wearing a hat today.
Yes, we're just going hatless. It's gone too far. I can't go back. It's too far.
I've committed.
Yeah.
It's all the way right there.
My Angela's
There
like
we go.
that. If we get like Vince, you know how our street is. It's like a half a mile from our house, maybe a mile from our house to the end of the neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
we
to get out.
halfway to our house to the street, and we forget something. Angela's like, too late. We can't go
Nope.
back. I'm like, yes,
Nope.
we can. We're 10 seconds down the road.
Point of no
We can
return,
go
baby.
back. She's like, it's too far. I'm
Point
like,
of no return.
as long as we're still in the neighborhood. I mean, my thing is if we get the Penny Royal, and I'll just turn in and circle back. But nope. We get 3 houses down. Angela's like, nope, too bad. I forgot what I was supposed to get. We've gone too far. Yeah.
Super chat from Wet Card 10. Appreciate you. If Bama loses and BYU wins, would they drop Bama out?
No, I don't. Sadly, I actually think there's a chance they would drop Notre Dame out in that situation. I don't think there's a scenario in which they're going to drop the SEC loser out unless it's a beatdown.
Yeah. Like a real bad beatdown.
Yeah.
Blackjack 198.11. Appreciate you. Adam McClintock said that Miami still needs a ton of help. And if they were to get in from being idle, it would be the first time it's ever happened.
I would agree with
is.
that. And Adam does really good work. He is on CFP Analytical. He does projections. He looks at it. He had Notre Dame 9 and Alabama 10, but in a private conversation he also said the same thing we did. I won't be shocked if they make the move because we understood why they would make a move like that. So I agree with him.
Super chat from Dis 6900. SEC. It means more.
Facts. So
From
where's
Just
that?
Knox. Appreciate you. Can we win this title without KVA? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, anytime you lose a good player, it's going to hurt your chances. There's no question. Having said that, he's a great player. He's not more important to the defense than what Riley Mills was last year. And they beat Georgia and Penn State without Riley.
Yeah.
You know, they learned how to win without Benjamin Morrison. They learned how to win without Boubacar, Jordan Patelho, Charles Jagasol. Like, there's a lot of guys they learned how to win without. Billy Schrauth for a period of time. Losing him hurts, but this is why you recruit the way that they recruit. This is why we'll be so excited about the recruiting class they're going to sign tomorrow, which we're going to break down in our show tomorrow. Because you keep stacking up talented classes after talented classes, and you're in a position to, when you lose a player as talented as KVA, you've got a Jalen Sneed and a Jaden Osbury and a Madden Faramo ready to step in and take on some of that role. And, you know, so I won't sit there and be like, no, they're perfectly fine. They're a better team with KVA on it. I just think that they're still good enough to win it all because there's a lot of teams that don't have certain guys for this playoff stretch. Just seems to me Notre Dame tends to have a little bit more of it, but, you know, it's another conversation for another day.
Super chat from Michael Lynch. Appreciate you. Do you think if they get rid of conference championship games that the regular season will move to a 13-game season?
I don't think so. I think they would I don't think there's a desire to play more games outside their league.
No, they'd probably just move up the playoffs.
Agree.
From Charlie Bird. Appreciate you, Charlie. Any playoff renegotiations need to include Indy as a quarterfinal site. Every other major team can drive to a game. They're Big Ten and the Big Ten and Notre Dame need to push for this. It's not 1956 where you need warm weather.
I agree with that. There was a national championship game recently in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it the year that Georgia's second title team or their first one? Was it the one they beat Bama or is it the one that they beat TCU? It's when they beat Bama, wasn't it? Wasn't that in Indianapolis?
No, I think it was TCU.
It was the one they beat TCU? Okay.
All I remember is being out and about downtown, and I got barked at a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we know Georgia was there. I don't know.
Yeah, Georgia was there. But
It was the game it was the Bama Georgia game.
was it? Okay, cool.
It was in Lucas Oil, yeah.
I just remember getting barked at.
Yeah, I think Indy could get the championship game, but they're not going to get a semifinal
They
or
can't.
a quarterfinal because they're
They
not a
can't.
bowl. They're not a bowl
Exactly.
site.
They're not one of the
So,
bowl affiliates,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but I think they'll get a national title game at some point. Because Vegas I think is in set to get one. There's some neutral.
Tampa's going to have one soon.
Yeah,
right.
So like places that don't have bowl games, have gotten the championship game. They're just not going to get a quarter or a semi.
Yeah.
The other thing too is the cold weather's not just about the game. Cold weather's also about the people at the game and all the different things they want to do to make money at the game.
Yep.
You're more likely to spend more days at a game in Dallas than you are a game in Indianapolis in the middle of January. That's part of it as well.
Personally, I would love that, especially if Notre Dame made it.
Yes.
That would be fantastic. Lucas Oil is quite literally 10 minutes away from my apartment.
That would be pretty awesome. Yep. So that's going to do it for all the chats, fellas.
Well, folks, that will do it for us here tonight on the Irish Breakdown Podcast. Join Brian and I tomorrow at 1 p.m. We're going to go. It's National Signing Day, early National Signing Day. So we're going to go through and we're going to talk about the commitments that signed with the Notre Dame in the class of 2026. Should be really, really exciting, something that you're not going to want to miss. If you've been a member of the premium message boards.irishbreakdown.com, you've been following a lot of what's been going on with Notre Dame's 2026 recruiting class. That all comes to a head tomorrow with it being National Signing Day. So on your way out of here, please be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this podcast with your friends and family. And like I said, subscribe to the premium message boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. So until next time, I'm Trevor. That's Brian. That is also Vince. We will all see you back here next time on the Irish Breakdown Podcast. Have a wonderful evening.